Citations, Legion of Doom. Welcome to Podcast The Storm, where social outcasts, crazy rails, and online nerds convene, talk, and debate all things pop culture. With me, as always, is my co-host, the nerdy cultist, aka the authenticator, Dalton Mortimer.
Hello, folks. It's unnecessarily hot again, and we have yet to get an air conditioner here, so I apologize if I'm lower energy than normal.
And I'm your host. Last time I wouldn't be the Brainstorm Call, so fuck. I am your host. So last time I want to be the Brainstorm Pop Culture. How's everyone doing tonight? I am somewhat tongue-tied, apparently.
Yeah, you do go a little bit too fast for your own good sometimes.
You're not the first person to mention that to me, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. To quote Pulp Fiction, I think fast, I talk fast, I act fast.
Do you, though? Do you?
I have my moments.
Yeah.
Also, hello, Giant Turtle. That's fine. You can lurk. We're all lurkers here in some form or fashion. I'm doing fine.
I am doing fine apart from the aforementioned heat, because I can't.
Yeah, so he's going to be kind of bitchy. Well, more so than usual.
Oh, most likely.
Yeah. I've known you for over 6 years now. I know how you're going to be when you're in, like, when you're... I was going to say something, but...
Yeah, that I...
when you're
that could have gotten very phrasing shaped very quickly.
Sweltering?
Yeah, it's
I don't know. Well, actually, what would be the adjective way of saying that? Actually, would it be sweltered? Swelt?
No.
No. I hope. I feel like that's a reference to something, DT, and I just do not. I think it's either before my time or I've just never. That's like a niche thing.
Hold on a moment. Let me see what he. No, that's just DT being punny.
Oh.
It's him being punful.
Yeah. Sorry,
He should be punished for it.
Sorry, my brain's not like my brain's been like in so many different places this past week. I've just been really busy, so I'm sorry if I'm not like 100% here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I understood it was I understood that it was a pun, but I thought it was also referencing something. So,
not to the best of my knowledge.
all right. I forgot to tell you over the week, Dalton, but you mentioned what if Kratos met legit followers of the gods who like them. Okay, I think he's still writing. So if anyone noticed, I changed my icon.
Yeah.
So the first thing we're doing is a review of a movie that came out 2 weeks ago. No. Was it a week ago?
I think it was a week ago.
A week ago. Okay. Now I imagine he did, not to mention he was portrayed more as a monster in the first 3 games, and ultimately Apocalypse's Grease from the God Killing.
Mm.
Okay. But yeah, so the first thing we're going to do, just to get it out of the way, because it'll be a relatively it also isn't a pagan bad, Abrahamic good thing.
I am curious if God of War is ever going to address the Abrahamic elephant in the room.
I've seen video theories about that, which actually touch more into Gnostic.
I know their original plan was to explain like the god killings as the reason why Abrahamic shit took off, but I didn't know that they were going to pull the demiurge into the mix here.
Anyway, so we are going to be viewing, if anything, it has more Greek gods with dicks and eventually found someone who can let them find out from their fucking around.
In some cases, that fucking around is very, very literal, Zeus.
So yeah, we're going to be reviewing Masters of the Universe.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's get general thoughts out of the way first. I'm a little more. I understand Don's reasoning, and we'll get more into that as the review goes on. But personally, I genuinely liked it. It felt okay. So to put it the way I kind of tried to put it with Dalton when we talked about it before, it felt like I was watching a Saturday morning cartoon in the best way possible. I was genuinely like smiling throughout most of the movie. I even like had audible laughs at certain points. It just was just a fun ride, and it's been a long while since I've actually watched a movie where I genuinely had fun watching it. So I genuinely enjoyed this movie.
I am harder on it than you. I also enjoyed it, but there are several problems with the thing that make it less enjoyable for me. There are tonal issues. It mostly comes down to the writing, I think. And I think that if this movie had been written by Travis Knight from the ground up, it would be a much better movie. Because everything relating to his direction still works about as well as you would think it would. The problem is that this movie has been in development hell for decades, and so there have been like something like 16 different drafts of the script, and rather than just starting over from scratch with Travis Knight, which would have been, I think, the better case for everybody, they tried to, it seems, put bits and pieces of every different script in here, and I think that's part of the reason that it doesn't work. Another part of the reason is I think they may have overdid it with humor. I feel like I think I think 2/3 of the jokes work, but that last third often falls into the late stage MCU effect of unnecessarily softening what should be serious or heartfelt moments. And I think that if they just dropped that third joke every now and then, it would be a much more cohesive story. I will say, and I mentioned this to Brainstormer over the course of our brainstorming session on Thursday. Adam is fucking adorable, and he is officially joining Smallville's Clark Kent, MCU Steve Rogers Captain America, and Disney's Hercules in the aspirational Himbo Hall of Fame. So there's that. Yeah. Nicholas Galitzine did an amazing job, and surprisingly, I think we have finally found the role that Jared Leto was always born to play.
You know, he actually hates this movie.
Well, he's not intelligent enough to be responsible for his own choices. We've learned that many times over. Most of the movies that he likes are shitty, and while this movie, again, I have more issues with it than you do. It's among the better movies he's been in a while. I mean, um, this is the man who earnestly thought that he needed to go full method with Morbius. So, like, Jared Leto's own opinions on himself would not be taken into consideration by anyone with two brain cells thrown together. It's funny that one of his best performances, period, came from a movie that he apparently despises. Although this is the first I'm hearing of that. Maybe Jared Leto should hire an agent and let an agent figure out what roles he should take on rather than going wherever the method actor whimsy points him.
All right. So we get into spoilers then, or
Yes. Unless you have anything
okay.
else non-spoilery to say.
Visually, it's actually really amazing. By the way, it's really well made. Um, music, fantastic. You know, Daniel Pemberton, who's done the Spider-Verse. He did Project Hail Mary as well. And some other things I know, but this is genuinely good. Like, it was just, overall just
My one complaint about the visuals is I wish they had taken it a little bit further with regards to like the saturation and stuff. I think it could have been even better if if they had basically done for He-Man what Greta Gerwig did for Barbie in terms of like visual style. That actually sums up a lot of my problems with the movie is in areas where I felt like they could have done more, they didn't, and in areas where, as with the humor, I feel like every third joke could have been dropped and it would have made for a better movie and wouldn't have um gotten in the way of the serious moments as much. And I firmly believe that if Travis Knight had written this himself, it would have been better. But the movie's been in development hell for a decade or more, so
you
it
remember all
happens.
those, like, pieces of concept art that made it look more like a horror.
Hmm.
You never saw those?
No, I don't think I did.
Oh, I'm sure I could find them, but my computer's really crappy, so it'd be hard to get good images of it. But yeah, it's they tried. Yeah, there was one iteration that they had planned. It was really, you guys really good cop, bad cop things a lot. That's been our entire dynamic when we do these reviews, dude. It just genuinely depends on the. Again, we both have different tastes, and we both
Believe it or not, there are times when I good cop and Brainstorm are bad cops. They don't happen often, but they do happen. But yeah, I am slightly more pedantic about things, which should surprise neither of you.
Yeah.
And thus I usually wind up being bad cop.
Well, then you're kind of just an angry, bitter old man. So
I am not going to say it's untrue because we both know it is true, but fuck you very much.
I mean, you could have refuted old.
Yeah, but I've been an old soul for most of my childhood, so I don't even think I can justifiably dispute that.
Okay, old soul is different than just old. I'm talking about your physical age, not your mental age.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're both fucking old as shit. Because the world has fucked us.
Yeah. Reality really do be giving the personal trauma arc.
I'm. Yeah, he was. Yeah, I agree with Dragon Ball. He was born old.
Yeah, that's valid. That's
I'm more
very
surprised.
valid.
I'm more surprised at 26 years old. I don't already have gray hair.
I am also surprised at that, mostly because your generation seems to be aging quicker than the millennial generation is, which is fucking weird.
He's reincarnated a few times and is sick of this shit. I mean, I don't. I can say that for you, Dalton, actually.
That may or may not be the case. We shall see in another lifetime or two.
I won't remember shit, so. Well, that, and I'm basically Christian, so my soul won't reincarnate.
That is an interesting question that would get us into so many philosophical weeds. But anyway, back to the Masters of the Universe. Spoiler thoughts.
Yeah. Again, action wise, it's pretty good. Like it's actually shot really well.
Yeah, the fight scenes are quite good in this.
Yeah.
Especially the final fight, the climactic fight between He-Man and Skeletor proper.
Yeah, and Castle Grayskull is just like I know you say the sets. I will argue at least the practical sets look very good.
Yeah.
In like kind of a hokey, cheesy kind of way, but like in a way that's not
Yeah.
cheesy as in they are trying, but they're also having fun with it,
Right. I do wish everything that CG had gotten one or two more passes through the render.
That's fair. But I still think, honestly,
because while large parts of it look very good, that there's the occasional like scene or there's the occasional moment where it's like, oh, they must have been working overtime on that because it's not finished rendering yet.
Well, honestly, again, I don't know if it's taken off or they just kind of abandoned it. But you remember in The Mandalorian when they used those like light up LED screens for like visual effects, and they looked very good. I'm kind of wondering why they haven't used those, and they're still just using like green and blue screens. I don't know if it's like a budget thing or not, or
because Hollywood are dumbasses. That's why they don't know. They've forgotten how to use half the tools at their disposal.
Or maybe I don't know. Maybe Lucasfilm has or Disney has a patent on it.
I would very much doubt that.
Yeah, it again, like it. I will agree that the pacing is somewhat not at how to put this.
Inconsistent. It's inconsistent.
I would say it drags, actually. I did see someone's review saying that maybe if you shaved off 20 minutes of the film and like so you could tighten up the pacing a bit, it'd work a little better. And I can see that.
And you could honestly do that by taking my suggestion and cutting out every third joke.
Skeletor was funny, like all the way through though, like genuinely. I'd honestly say Skeletor was kind of standout of all the characters.
Yeah, a lot of people have said that, and I also that's why I opened with this is the role that Jared Leto was kind of born to play, because ordinarily his bizarre tendencies and scene chewing really break the immersion, but this is Skeletor, and Skeletor has always been the archetypical mustache twirling, I'm eating the scenery type of villain. So there's that.
Yeah, he's funny. He's terrifying. He's not a menace, honestly.
Yeah, he's not a joke of a character. He just is a character who is very often the butt of the joke. He manages to be very threatening and everything. It's just also Skeletor is the kind of scene chewing villain that you even if you're afraid of him, you're also, laughing at. A little bit like Draken. Draken has moments where he can be threatening, but he's also a bit of a dumbass.
Yeah.
And Jared Leto's Skeletor. I'm of two minds on his voice, though. Given that everything else seems to be defaulting to the 80s version of He-Man, I kind of wish that either they had pitch shifted his voice or he had spoken in a more nasally register. But then again, one of my complaints about this movie is it only seems to be pulling from the 80s version. It's incorporating aspects of multiple versions of the story. So and personally I find it easier to take Skeletor seriously when he doesn't sound like one of the chipmunks. So I understand why they cut that aspect, because
I mean, I feel like there's a good blend that could have been founded, but I see your point. Again, he was just like I bought him as the big bad, just like.
Yeah, no, it works.
Yeah.
This movie isn't doing well enough at the box office to justify a sequel, which makes me a little bit sad.
I mean,
there are aspects of this. The aspects of this movie that do work definitely lend themselves to "we'll do better in the sequel," and it's annoying that the box office is subpar for it.
The reason why that does make me upset is, one, I kind of wish we got a little more of Evelyn, because they had such a great actress for her. She was fine for the scenes we've seen her in, but I kind of felt like they were building her up for the next movie, as well.
I feel like Skeletor's entire entourage could have gotten more.
Yeah. Also, they did those. They did also Orko. I know he's kind of the comic relief in the original series, but he's actually also like a very powerful sorcerer from his dimension, but because of the laws of physics of this universe, of our universe, his magic goes haywire.
It's also frustrating because everybody else in He-Man's supporting cast gets some pretty good moments, whereas Orko is just kind of a cameo, more or less.
At the end, yeah. But also the She-Ra post-credits scene too. Mm-hmm. That looked good, and that genuinely excited me.
Yeah, I feel like those could have been actually woven into the movie we got better, and that would have also helped things.
Yeah, but I also want to point this out. Anyone who was really saying that it looked woke, I don't.
Yeah, the thing of it is, it does employ that in that Adam is sent to Earth with the sword to keep both of them safe, and he winds up in his 20s or late teens working in an HR department.
I'd say in his 20s. I would say like he's at least mid-20s.
Yeah, but I think the movie is more often than not making fun of the HRism, and the woke scoldery rather than embracing it.
Well,
It's a little bit like
I mean,
The Magicians. The Magicians
can I,
is about highly gifted but traumatized magical college kids. So of course they're going to act like the stereotypical social justice millennial. But as often as not, The Magicians mocks the millennialism rather than embracing it.
so to be fair, that sorry. I mean, there was a part that was propped up of, Adam comparative to like all the other warriors who wielded this sort of power, like champions of Grayskull, right? He was one who led with compassion, empathy, understanding of others.
He's
Not
wholesome.
only, yeah,
He's a cinnamon roll, hence why he's getting added to the himbo club.
okay. Drool over him later, man. Okay.
Oh, I have, among other things, but that's neither here nor there.
God damn it, man.
You walked into that one.
You didn't. You know what? I set you up. I will. I will concede to that, but still. Anyway, yeah. It honestly, again, it wasn't really trying to say anything. It wasn't trying to be like subversive or anything. It was a fun ride with some genuine moments. And yeah, I do agree. Like the issues as they are, I can still look past those and still enjoy it for what it is. And I just left the theater like having a good feeling,
I
which is not
really wish this movie could make enough for a sequel, because I want to know what Travis Knight would do with the IP now that he's no longer saddled with 16 other people's drafts of the script.
okay. This is gonna sound well. Okay. Okay, a little tangent before we move on because I feel like that's kind of it for the review, right? Anything else?
No, I think I'm good.
Okay. Just because I think we started talking about this a little bit more when we were reviewing the last trailer of Masters of the Universe. Other IPs I would love to see Travis Knight work on. I think I mentioned a few, but one that I kind of really want to see just because I really desperately wish someone would get this right. G.I. Joe.
It would work, yeah.
Given that he said he grew up watching the 80s Filmation He-Man cartoon in the 80s, which means he also probably would have seen the original G.I. Joe cartoon as well. Maybe even read the comics, I'm not sure. But
if we're giving him access to 80s cartoon IP, I'd like to see his take on Johnny Quest. Johnny Quest is a show that was kind of ahead of its time, and so not a lot of people remember it.
Well, that wasn't the 80s, that was 60s.
Well, yeah, then it was exceedingly ahead of its time. But I really wonder what he could do with Johnny Quest. Johnny Quest would be the thing I would want him to take another swing at.
Honestly, a lot of Hanna-Barbera cartoons, I feel, should get some type of revamp today.
Unfortunately, I don't think Scooby-Doo can be one of them because of how badly Velma sucked the air out of the Scooby-Doo IP.
I don't know. I've seen some,
but I wouldn't mind seeing a version of Scooby-Doo that leaned into its 60s roots.
Yeah.
In the same way that this one leans into its 80s roots.
I'm trying to think. I mean, the 90s movies for the Flintstones are really good. I thought, at least. Maybe the first one. I liked it.
They're not bad, but I don't think they quite capture the tone of the original very well.
Each their own.
I think John Goodman was a good Fred. They just didn't give him good enough writing to run with it.
Shit, now I just realized I didn't really watch Hanna-Barbera cartoons growing up. I mean, I knew of them. I just never got to really watch them much, even when I had Boomerang.
Yeah, I had Boomerang and watched it more often actually than other networks. So I part of it is my age growing up.
Mm.
Got me into old school cartoons. So I ended up watching a whole bunch of those.
I know they got a bunch of superhero cartoons, actually, which is actually kind of surprising given the time that they were really popular. 'Cause
And
superheroes
again,
were
I know they can't really touch on this because the last time they touched it was in Scoob and it went horribly. But an earnest attempt at Blue Falcon and Dynamite.
I was going to say Blue Falcon, but I felt that was kind of obvious for me.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe what was it? Frankenstein Jr. I think was what. Was you kind of
Yeah.
be? It was Iron Giant before Iron Giant, really.
Mm-hmm.
If I remember
Mm-hmm.
correctly.
Jabberjaw would also be really cool because that way you could also do the like retro futurist underwater fucking city thing.
Well, you know what? Jetsons. I would love to see a Jetsons movie.
I would also find that interesting, although I'm not sure Travis Knight would be the best to direct.
No, that's fair. Maybe I'd say maybe okay. I feel like the only two like a group of directors and Travis Knight, like Phil Lord and Chris Miller and Travis Knight, like those guys feel like the best for like kind of
Imagine if we could get a situation where they work together. God damn it.
uh,
I know that's my go-to move because there's so many aspects of one director that could be bolstered up by aspects of another style. But yeah, Phil Lord, Chris Miller, and Travis Knight working together would be amazing.
imagine if they worked on the Transformers franchise.
I mean, there's 1,000 ways to do it better than Michael Bay did. Unfortunately, Bumblebee underperformed, which will never cease to fucking irritate me. So he'll probably never be allowed to take another swing at Transformers, which just grr. And Travis Knight is one of the three directors I want involved in a Dr. Fate movie. Paul King, Travis Knight, and Joe Johnston are the three directors I would want to work on a 1940s period piece, Dr. Fate. But that's just me.
I think. Yeah, I could definitely see him doing GI Joe. And actually, him directing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles too. Like, if he's actually like adapting the original Mirage comics, or even like the IDW comics that came out some years ago, that was kind of a revamp of the Mirage comics for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I think would actually be pretty good.
What projects does he have coming up? Do you have any that have already been announced?
Give me 1 second. I know he's doing Wildwood, obviously.
Right.
Oh, he's only 52.
Yeah, he's young by modern Hollywood standards.
Well, no, I just thought he was younger because he looks younger, you know?
Well, the 80s was 40 years ago now, so he would have to be older to have grown up with the 80s cartoon.
He was born in 1973.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which makes sense. That means he would have been about 10 for the original He-Man, so the target audience.
Okay, so director of Wildwood, $6 billion man.
I think he'll do well with that. That's another very, very 80s IP.
Actually, you know what? It's a weird one. Maybe
Inspector Gadget. I just thought of this. Inspector Gadget.
you know the sequel, the Disney Channel sequel, right?
Yes. Yeah. GT.
It's actually better than the first one.
It is by a considerable margin. Yes. I watched that one a lot growing up.
Oh, imagine it. Okay, 90s cartoons too. I think would also be in Travis's Night wheelhouse.
Which one would you want him to take a stab at? Is the question.
Shit. That's good. That's a good question. Good question.
Honestly, SWAT Cats.
Okay, so it was either going to be Gargoyles or SWAT Cats.
I wouldn't mind seeing him tackle gargoyles as well, but they're already planning on doing a live action version of that. So
Right.
we'll probably get whatever
You know what?
version is currently in the works before we get a Travis Knight one.
You know what? I can also. This is because it's me.
Mm-hmm.
And my connection more to it than Master of the Universe.
Mm-hmm.
Thundercats.
I think that's probably the next logical step after doing He-Man. The problem is that due to it not doing as well financially as it needs to, he's probably not going to get handed another big IP like this.
Which, fucking.
Which pisses me off to no end. Because again, most of the issues I have with this movie are tonal and scriptal issues, and that's not really fully in Travis Knight's control. That the script has been rewritten and rewritten and rewritten fucking 16 times. I actually don't even know how many writers there are listed on this movie because of all the revisions and false starts and fucking development hell bullshit. But because Bumblebee underperformed, but at least made profit, they were willing to give him this movie. This one isn't set. This one is not set to even make profit or break even. This is set to bomb, and it pisses me off. Even while acknowledging I have issues with the movie, even while acknowledging that having however many fucking writers do 16 different drafts of the script over the years, and poor Travis Knight being saddled with somehow making use of them all. Even while acknowledging I have issues with the thing, it will never not piss me off that this movie is underperforming at the box office, not through any fault of his, but through fault of this movie's been in development hell, and you didn't let him write one from scratch. You made him basically patchwork together multiple drafts of different with movies with completely different fucking tones and shit. I think that if Travis Knight had been left to his own devices to build a Masters of the Universe movie from scratch, from the ground up, it would have been better. And I know because he's been involved in Laika pretty much since his very beginning. And Laika basically puts out a classic every time they put out a movie. I think what happened here is Travis Knight has good instincts and is good at getting as much good as he can out of even a bad script. But unfortunately, this movie's been in development hell for multiple decades, and so the fuck. He's saddled with 16 other versions with God knows how many writers, and he wasn't allowed to build one from the ground up, and therein lies the problem. And because of all the script problems, it's not being regarded as positively as it probably deserves to from a director's perspective, and that means Travis Knight is probably never again going to be allowed to play with big IP, and that annoys me.
Agreed. Sorry, you know what, Travis? Okay, I know technically he didn't grow up with it, but I still think he could do well. Live action Samurai Jack.
Yeah, I would gladly see that. With the proviso that this time you let him build it from the ground up.
I guess the question
Instead.
though, given that the original voice actor for Aku, who played General Iroh in Avatar: The Last Airbender, the original series, right,
Mm-hmm.
passed away during the second season, which was like in 2008 or 9.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
No, it's older than that because he died before um Avatar ended.
Yeah.
But yeah, given that, the person I would cast, assuming he wants to do it, would be James Hong, aka Dao Long Wong from Jackie Chan Adventures, or David Lopan from Big Trouble in Little China. Obviously, it'd be a CGI character, but him doing the voice acting, I think, could work.
And honestly, okay, I know we got these movies, but I honestly think, again, Travis Knight would do a far better job.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least he would only need one movie to do better.
Mm-hmm.
Mortal Kombat.
I think that could work.
Although he does seem to kind of tackle more. He seems more at home with like PG-13 movies rather than a hard R, which Mortal Kombat would have to be given its. So
I'm curious to see what he could do with a hard R, to be honest with you. Anyway, we probably should move to the next topic.
For the record, just because I forgot to say this earlier, we're just trying to finish what we didn't last week because my computer is shit.
Mm-hmm.
I was having a bad day. Just had kind of bad luck that day.
Mm-hmm.
So we're just going to start with God of War. Lao Fei's director talks fan skepticism, new ideas, and Frank the Cube. Which is from GameStop.com. It's basically a Q&A article. We're going to read a little bit of it, and then we're going to move on, just because we got other stuff to do. So I'm just going to start where we left off, and we'll move on from there.
Yep.
Tools from the reboot to Ragnarok are largely the same there, right? Do you think a game like Lao Fei creates the ability to introduce new tools in a safe, different way that then you can bring back in the future? I think for Lao Fei, especially when everyone as a concept, bringing mythologies together and kind of exploring this world beyond for the gods, it was not restriction, but a lot of ways of doing things that we had. We could start fresh in some places, and so I think that a great place for the team take on that creative risk and feel safe about exploring.
See, this is the problem, though. If this is your mindset, then make it a spin-off. Do not put the God of War name on it. Make it a spin-off.
Again, I got no real stake in this because I didn't grow up with. Well, I wasn't exposed to God of War until later. So. Continue or.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I wasn't sure if you had anything. Okay.
Yeah.
Because with Kratos, we got 20 years of our explorations with him, and they kind of gently point us in a certain direction, and we can evolve with him. But I think
Has
for
it really
Faye,
been 20 years? No, I guess, yeah, 2006. That is roughly when the first one came out.
Shit.
I'm old again.
You-
It does not feel like it should be that old, but time does be how time is.
Mortal Kombat's over 30 years old.
That one doesn't surprise me because I remember growing up with that as an already established thing, and I was born in '95 and I am 30, so it would have to
Okay,
be.
Samurai. Okay. Samurai Jack's over. It's over 20 years old, I think.
Yeah, because it got started in, I want to say, '99. I want to say.
Hold on. Let me. I'm actually curious now because I don't remember the. Oh, for the record, Warriors Eternal got fucking ripped off.
Yeah, networks do not like taking the risks. And Hollywood in general is averse to taking the risks as well.
Okay, 2001.
Okay, so I knew it was right around there because I remember when it was first being advertised.
God, do you remember
As the new
Toonami?
cool, dark, edgy thing.
Yeah. I remember watching a preview on it on one of my VHS tapes when I was a kid.
Ah, yes, the VHS previews. In case you needed further reminding people that we are old.
Well, I was in the transitionary period where VHSs were getting transitioned
Ditto.
out of CDs.
Yeah,
So,
ditto. Yeah.
so I was exposed to
I
both.
remember the many trailers being begun with look for it on or ended on look for it on video or DVD.
God, do you remember? Do you remember the really crappy cardboard DVD cases?
I only had a couple of those, but yes, I remember them.
I kind of miss them.
I don't know.
I feel like they had more.
Especially
I just feel like they had more character to them. Is all.
especially steelbooks, I think, are a major improvement.
I don't know. Again, I feel like they had more character to them. They were a lot more nicely designed. It wasn't just
Mm,
like a piece of paper with a poster printed on.
mm. Yeah, I will give you that. That that trend is annoying. Just take the take the movie's promotional poster and slap it on the case.
Plus, it felt like you were opening a book every time,
Mm,
more so than like the other ones. I don't know.
mhm.
It doesn't have the same feeling.
Yeah,
Fuck, I'm old. God damn it.
correct.
Ah,
Behold, behold the old, ladies
I'm
and gentlemen.
26.
Yeah, I'm 30. It doesn't feel like
That's
that should be
old,
possible either.
motherfucker. You're old. Fuck.
It will happen to you eventually. It happens to everyone eventually. No matter no matter how you fight it or run from it.
I
It's
wasted
not
my
for
fucking.
whom the bell tolls, it tolls for thee.
I wasted my motherfucking life. God damn it.
Yeah, frequently have those moments too.
Heck.
But anyway, next.
Sorry, I'm looking into the abyss right now. Okay, I'm good.
Step
I'm
back
good.
from the abyss. The abyss is not your friend.
You're my friend.
Yes, and On my good days, I am not the abyss. I will grant you that sometimes I am abyss shaped.
You might want to reword that.
Phrasing.
Yeah. All right. Okay, where was I? Okay, because of Chris, we got 20 years of our explorations with him, and I read that. Sorry. But a lot of Laufey is really built on all the experience from the Greek saga. Well, you can see the evidence of Greek saga and Norse saga both coming together. It's not baby out with the bathwater, but just having a different physique to work with in terms of combat, animation, and then just thinking about that allowed us some distance, basically, to be able to look at all the stuff that we've done and say, is this a tool that would help us tell a Laufey story?
And again, all of this is well and good for a spin-off, but by just giving Lao Fei top billing in God of War, what you wind up with is a feeling like you're trying to replace Kratos, not coexist with him. It'd be like if instead of giving Shira her own show, sorry guys, He-Man IP on the brain. Instead of giving Shira her own show, Shira and the Princess of Power, they just gave like the second or third season of Master of the Universe to Shira almost entirely, and had
So,
He-Man
Master of the
pinning up.
Universe Revolution.
It's not. It's not. It's different when you're not trying to coexist with a thing. You're trying to replace it. That's why if you wanted this, you should drop the God of War name and just find another name for Lao Fei so that it can be a spin-off that exists in the same world as God of War without having to be God of War. Anyway.
The Every Win is the first entirely original setting for the series. How did you get to the point where you made something instead of using existing mythology as a foundational and go from there? A lot of people think of God of War as a retelling mythology, whereas this is creating mythology.
I'm not convinced that was a good idea. I think
I mean, you could make the argument.
Part of what works so well with God of War is that it is so steeped in pre-established mythology.
I mean, isn't there like some type of, again, if you're working with the Gnostic stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't there kind of a connecting afterlife, so to speak? Again, my knowledge of that is rather limited. So
know off the top of my head. As far as I was aware, all the gods have their various different afterlives, plural.
oh,
But I could be mistaken. Most of my knowledge of God of War comes from the movies, basically assembled from all the cutscenes.
yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
Mm-hmm. But moving on.
Okay. I mean, I do also agree. I think it's. I mean, I feel like that's just because they call it that, like the characters and stuff call it that. But I feel like it could be something completely that is something from mythology that we're not thinking of,
Mm-hmm.
or isn't stated yet.
Mm-hmm.
Like, maybe it's because it has like a Mongolian god of war, I believe, that's working with.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, there's a realm of the gods in China, something like that. Just kind of expanded to be like the afterlife of the gods or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just I'm spitballing here, obviously. Not saying that's what it is.
Yeah, the question of where gods go after they've been killed is definitely a question.
Well, I think it's been kind of stated in some God of War comics when they've shown Athena, like she is a higher plane of existence, like ascended.
Interesting.
Anyway,
I really wish the games had ever gone into that. Because is Kratos basically going to have to double kill everybody? Is he going to have to find his way towards the afterlife of the gods and then double kill everybody? Or something?
well, I hope folks aren't failing Greek mythology exams by using Kratos. Laughs, so it's like a joke kind of there. Um, I think it's always been an expansion of mythology for us, or a retelling, as we said. This is what we know, but you didn't know this other stuff. So for Kratos, that's always been there. For Faye
Yeah,
and the Everyone,
it's an AU basically, an alternate universe.
for Faye and the Everyone, we get to do the same thing where we can get to know different mythologies coming together, but we get to know those characters. They're still going to have the same mythological background and grow from that, but now we can actually see how some of those characters would interact as full people in there. Um, why is it called the Everyone? It feels like time might be a bit funny there. I won't spoil any of the surprises of things, but I think for us, the Everyone gave this concept of all time and no time and a place beyond the mortal realms. So it was kind of an internal kind of idea that just kind of stuck after a while. Okay, to be fair, I fully understand that because Dalton and I have done that
Yeah.
many times.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you legitimately just can't think of anything else since you've already kind of crafted everything as far as they have, and it just makes no sense to,
Mm-hmm.
change the name after that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Sorry, I just seen Drentrell's comments. The I'm old is probably happening to people in their teens nowadays. Yeah, probably. For the whole you can laugh at them and be scared of them thing, from what I know of all these characters, I can see that with Skeletor, but not with Dr. Troy. To be fair, they kind of did flanderize him in the later seasons. In season one, he had some intimidating moments, like the early season. Um, again, going with what I know of the characters, a better example would be Dr. Eggman. Yeah,
Yeah, that
yeah.
might. Yeah.
All right. All right, but
Yep.
okay. Yeah, I think this concept of the place beyond has been. Oh, sorry. Do you feel this is a kind of crucial piece to put in place to further explore different territories and give the series longevity? Yeah, I think this concept of the place beyond has been in Corey Balrog's brain for a long, long while. We've gone to mortal afterlives, Hades, and we've gone to Helheim. But this idea of for the gods, where do they go? Because we've killed gods, they disappeared. What happens to them? They're not in any of their underworlds, so where does that happen? The question has really been bouncing around for a long time. And I
Well,
think this,
the question especially applies to gods that are of their respective underworlds, like Hades or Hell. Because with dead gods, you could make the argument that they wind up in their respective underworlds, kind of like the Titans did. But when you are the god of the underworld, if someone kills you, does that how does that not become a vicious cycle of, oh, I just respawned at work? Well, you kill a god of the dead or of the underworld, and they just go home. Well, anyway, moving on.
and I think this idea of locking ourselves into potentially maybe like one mythology led us to, well, maybe actually these mythologies all touch. Everybody's got an idea of a mystical place, so that's common in a lot of different kinds of mythologies that maybe they're the same place. And so once we started talking about that idea, it really kind of grew from there, and the opportunity was just so exciting that I think it just really stuck.
And that's all well and good if you do it right. If you rush or fuck around too much, then you're gonna wind up in the time travel / multiverse hole where you there there are some types of stories like time travel and multiverse that are just so difficult to do in any meaningful way that you have to be very particular about how you use them or everything goes to shit. That was one of the biggest things we wanted to be careful of when we were making our stuff, because we both knew how badly time travel and or multiverses can fuck everything up. And it sounds like they might be flirting with something along those lines here. Just be very careful with what I'm saying, because you can't unring this particular bell. You ring this particular bell and fuck it up, and your entire continuity is forked.
Yeah. Moving on.
Yep.
There's the question of, to be fair, when you and I have had these many discussions many times when talking about mythology, because one of our projects is heavily involved in like various mythologies.
Mm-hmm.
As we started doing research, I particularly noticed that there are a lot of like various like cultures and belief structures and religions all over the world have, and obviously some have roots as, because some of them are connected via like the roots of their religion and stuff, like mythologies and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Just split off like different denominations, right? But
yeah,
particularly in mythology, there are actually like some commonalities between each. You know,
mm-hmm.
thing that surprised me the most was in a lot of mythologies, there is actually like a sunken city myth. Genuinely surprised me, actually. Or like an underwater city or something like that.
Yeah. Atlantis, Kumari Kandom, Mu. I'm trying to think of some of the other ones, but yeah, pretty much every culture has a sunken city or underwater city myth. Even the English have Dumdaniel.
There is technically, I mean, to be fair, that's just with like every religion, or well, in every mythology, really, of the creation myth or a creator god. You know, that's just a given, obviously. But there are a bunch of mythologies also have like floods as well. Actually, it's just kind of, again, that also surprised me.
The deluge is a common reoccurring thing.
Yeah.
Epic of Gilgamesh, Story of Noah, the deluge of Zeus in Greco-Roman mythology. Trying to think of any of the other ones that sort of.
You also have like trickster gods. You know, like every mythology at some point has like a trickster archetype of some kind. To be granted, that could just be like, well, no, that actually is indicative. I would say I'm sure there could be an argument against it, but of like just a commonality. But I don't know. It fascinates me. But I can see where they're going with that, given everything we have learned on our own. So like, and again, I completely understand that these, like in the God of War universe, that these other, since they are actually like entities that live on basically a similar plane of existence as the as the mortals in some way, it would make sense that they would cross paths. Like all the gods would cross paths at some point.
Yeah.
That
And
being said, I would
in most polytheistic cultures, they didn't really dispute that there were other gods or other pantheons of gods. They just, sided with their own frequently.
Yeah.
And in Rome's case, they didn't even necessarily always do that. They basically just went, as long as you're willing to add ours on top of yours, you can keep them. And frequently Romans would bring back gods of the different parts of the empire to places like Alexandria, where you could have a temple to Athena and a temple of Isis like right across the road from each other, and so on.
Now that I think about it, there are two like mythological characters I would love to see portrayed in the God of War universe. Monkey King and Buddha.
Yeah, I think they could get a lot of mileage out of Sun Wukong.
Well, okay, to be fair, you kind of already had that with Black Myth Wukong, in a way.
True, but there's nothing saying that God of War couldn't have its own version of him.
No, I know. I'm just saying, like, if they were... I just feel like, well, how Black Myth Wukong works in terms of the story could go more actually like an actual character. Never mind.
The question is, would he be an ally of Kratos or an enemy of Kratos?
Well, given the story of the Monkey King, I could see him being definitely an ally.
Yeah, I don't see him being an end boss. I see him being part of Kratos's party, essentially, in the same way that Mimir was in Ragnarok.
I could also see Buddha too, because he was a human that ascended to godhood.
Mm-hmm. I think that's another interesting aspect of the lore they don't really pay much attention to, in that Kratos used to be at least a demigod, and he ascended. They didn't really pay much attention to that after the first couple Greek-centered games.
Yeah, well, I mean, I do agree. Yeah, they could have touched upon it more, but all things considered, I feel like there were other like story beats that kind of took precedent.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying, given that Kratos is basically doing a Gore the God Butcher, or maybe it's more accurate to say Gore the God Butcher's pulling a Kratos, because Kratos came first, I'm pretty sure. But point being, given that one of Kratos' raison d'etres is to kill the gods, I think it's a missed opportunity not to focus on the idea of mortal beings that ascended to godhood. And it's not just Sun Wukong or the Buddha or things like that. It's also like Imhotep, according to the Egyptians, used to be a mortal sage and ascended to godhood later.
Giant Troll, at some point, both power creep and repetition. Better to go all mythologies and not just keep going one after the other. Also saying this as an outsider, but I don't see doing a God of War game if you don't wipe out the pantheon, if not the setting. I mean, to be fair, it kind of stopped being about like wiping out pantheons and more so the responsibility that gods should have, being effectively shepherds of mortals in like at least in the Norse.
Yeah, because it's not like he burns down Yggdrasil in the Norse ones, or at least he hasn't yet. Lord only knows.
If you are doing Buddha, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Giant Turtle says, and if you are doing Buddha as in touching a huge living religion, you might as well have no sacred cows and also go with the Abrahamic ones, unless it's just fuck the East, or they would probably be more tolerant than the West.
Well, and on the topic of still very much operative religions, I think Hinduism has to come up at some point, considering not on, not only is that just a what's good for the goose is good for the gander, it's also that you could make an entire series of God of War games. What like how many games did the Greeks actually get? I think 3, and then the Norse has so far gotten 2. This being the third one.
Well, there were spin-offs in the Greek trilogy, a bunch of them that actually
Right.
really expanded like so.
But my point is, you could do an entire trilogy just based on the Hindu ones, because the Hindu religion has more gods, I think, than all the other religions combined.
Well,
So
also,
that would be.
I also want to point
I
this out.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I'm not saying make Buddha a like piece of shit like they made Odin. Which, to be fair, Odin was kind of he wasn't Zeus, but he wasn't like
He has trickstery elements to him.
um.
He's not
But
exactly the most moral of beings, according to the Norse.
well,
lore.
I mean, if you're to be fair, but I mean, he also has it's not an excuse, but understandable motivation of seeing the end of everything that he's built, and even himself at the hands of a child of his blood brother.
The Norse are rather unique in that sense, because there is no apocalypse in the context of the Greek one, so they basically had to make one up. Whereas the Norse pantheon has Ragnarok. Now, it's more complicated than that, because Ragnarok is cyclical as far as we know in the Norse understanding. But the Norse pantheon is quite unique in that it comes pre-baked with an apocalypse, where most polytheistic frameworks don't do that. Like there is no Slavic equivalent or Celtic equivalent of the apocalypse in their original mythologies, as far as we know. Whereas the Norse come preloaded with Ragnarok.
But what I was saying was not making Buddha a piece of shit, because from this is based on my limited understanding of Buddhism and like the story of Buddha.
Well, there are also several different Buddhas. Buddha is a title that means something like teacher.
Oh.
Yeah, a Buddha is just one who has ascended to enlightenment within Buddhism.
I thought there was like
they're more like saints in the like Catholic conception than gods.
Huh. Isn't there like just okay. Again, I don't know too much about the God. I never really got into the God of War games, Giant Turtle, so I cannot say for the how everything worked.
And another interesting aspect, if they ever decide to touch on the Abrahamic side of things, would be the Nephilim. The Nephilim and the Watchers. Also, I'm curious how. Obviously, this would be rather hard to portray because it would take up a lot of rendering space. But assuming Kratos runs into biblically accurate angels, TM, that would be very interesting.
Anyway, there's the question of where do gods go that exist from the current God of War saga, with Odin's obsession, but Athena and God of War 3 also mentions that she's transcended beyond into a new place. Is it the same place? I won't go into all the details, but I can tell you we've been killing gods for a really long time. So we've been thinking about this question. Since Ares died, we were like, okay, great. Does he go to the underworld? We asked that question, where did he show up after Kratos killed him? I think this has been really bubbling around for like 20 years.
I will say I'm glad they're not going for the cop-out ending, which is just they cease to exist entirely. I am glad that they're respecting the polytheistic deities, at least in that sense. Because the easy Christianity hoorah
Be right
answer
back.
would be after Kratos kills them, they just cease to be. But I will say I am glad they're not going that route. Because that's one of the Christian revisionisms that happened a lot, was that there were, like, the idea that there were gods at one point, but those gods have died or were destroyed by the Abrahamic one or Jesus or yada yada yada. So I am at least glad that they are insinuating that the gods are still immortal and their essence doesn't just evaporate into nothing after they die.
Okay, I'm back.
One of the few things about the Magician's continuity that I didn't really like, at one point in the Magician's continuity, we meet Hades, and he says that the underworld is something he created for the sake of mortal soul. The gods don't get an afterlife, and I don't know if I don't know if I can. I don't know necessarily if I like that.
Well, again,
Anyway, moving on.
Alaphi isn't technically a god, right? For us, this place, the Everyone, is a return for all magic. So it's not just gods, but magical creatures and all sorts of things. Magic is pulled to this place.
Which, speaking of magic, we've done the Greco-Roman pantheon and we've done the Norse pantheon. Does that mean we're eventually going to get a Celtic god of war? And if we get a Celtic god of war, does that mean we're getting the Fae?
I mean, in God of War canon, Mimir is supposed to be Puck.
Really?
Yeah.
That's an odd pair of entities to try to syncretize.
Well, he makes mention of the story of Midsummer Night's Dream to Kratos. So.
Huh.
And the Norns in God of War Ragnarok actually call him Puck, so.
Huh. That's gonna make a Celtic game rather difficult to. It's gonna make a Celtic game rather difficult to set up if they decide to. Then.
Also, my mention of Nimue, too. So.
Okay.
Oh,
that
Camelot.
is another interesting question in relation to the. Are they going to address the Abrahamic elephant in the room? When they're addressing the Abrahamic elephant in the room, does that include Arthurian mythos? Because, the central quests there are related to the transition between Normans and or Saxon paganism to Christianity, and then, of course, culminating in the quest for the Holy Grail and shite.
And I don't know, man.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Will this game move forward? The discussion around who blew the horn is a very good question. I am not at all liberty to discuss. So there's a scene in the first God of War who blows the horn to summon Jormungandr while Kratos and Atreus are in his belly to retrieve something.
Mm-hmm.
And that's before they for the context, obviously. Um,
Mm-hmm.
that's a big mystery no one knows about. That's from the 2018 game, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
All these years later, no one really knows.
Hmm.
Unsurprisingly, that's what everyone else that worked on God of War games said as well. I think that's a very exciting question for folks to dig into. Do you feel the pressure to answer that question now way more? I don't think people understand how stubborn Corey Balrog can be, so we may be waiting a while. Okay.
Hmm.
Uh, Deborah Ann Wool is the actor behind Lao Fei. When did she find out that there was more to this character? I'm pretty sure Corey told her in Ragnarok development. Deborah and I have talked about that, and she was like, I had to keep this under wrap for, I don't know, what is it, 10 years at this point?
Mm-hmm.
Actually, kind of impressive. A lot of other actors or people who work on stuff don't really keep their mouths shut on these kind of projects.
Yeah.
So, and also, if I remember from Deborah, she's also like a big nerd. Like she's done D&D and stuff. So,
Mm-hmm.
kind of that's cool. Coriol's always knew how important Faye was to the kind of evolution of God for storytelling, and so when he made Faye as a character in 2018, the importance and the gravitas was there. And then when he was like, "We need to find somebody to play to be Faye," he was incredibly intentional about that. I don't know what the conversation was between Corey and Deborah, but there has been a twinkle in his eye for a while. Okay. We saw a moment where Kratos appears and he physically interacts with Faye, so he's not a magical construct as a concept in the narrative. How important is this idea of converging Laufey stories with Kratos? Well, I think it for, I think for us, it's kind of a reverse of the Ragnarok perspective. Ragnarok, Faye was present on Kratos' mind pretty heavily, and we are able to show the other side of that story because Faye meant as much to Kratos as Kratos means to Faye.
Mm-hmm.
So being able to kind of continue that understanding the conversation. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I've been watching those videos where people have tried to match up where Kratos dies in Ragnarok with something that happens in Laufey's journey. I look forward to all the fan theories about this topic. That's actually nice.
Mm-hmm.
I wish someone would like appreciate fan theories. It's cool that this person is,
Yeah. Instead of demonizing them.
or just flat out ignoring them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what's up with the cube and the sword? So Frank has always been a character. I was with the team for 2 years on the reboot, working up to 2018. And then when I came back to the studio in 2021, the two characters that were whole in the pre-production of Lao Fei were Fei and Frank. For the record, Frank is spelled Phranque.
That makes sense.
Corey and I have talked about it a lot, and the challenge of taking something that could be interpreted as a non-personality and an inanimate object, and really just driving a human connection with that and caring about it. As a companion, Frank offers mechanically some interesting ideas. There's always been Frank. That's always been Frank. And then for Rue, we knew we wanted Faye to have the legendary weapon. The Leviathan axe really is Kratos' now. She gave it to him. He's not taking it back. For us, we wanted to find a weapon that could really play to Faye's strengths. The nimbleness, but still being deadly. The kind of flexibility and speed as we were doing a lot of development. The ribbons started to take form in there, and we were kind of thinking about the caretaker of the sword in there. We thought about it. If Faye comes to this world, who is it that is holding the sword when she gets there? And Aru was born. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Is it the original sword for God of War, or is it something people will know, like Excalibur or something like that? It's an epic sword. It has a story. Yeah, I feel. I always. Okay, I'm gonna be honest. Whenever I look at these interviews
Mm-hmm.
kind of things, I always find it weird that they ask these kind of questions because clearly they're spoilers.
Yeah,
Why ask them?
because modern journalists are dumb. That's why.
Well, no, everyone asked them. Even like back then, I'm sure people asked these kind of questions. I just don't get the point of asking questions that you know you're not really going to get an answer with.
For the drama of it,
It's
probably
waste.
helps. It probably helps build anticipation for the questions being answered eventually.
Okay, but I'm just saying, like, if you're going to ask a question like that, just a better way I think you could ask it is rather asking any specific, ask, was there any major inspirations in any type of mythology that this sword is based off of?
Yeah, but you're assuming that journalists either care about their job or are good at it,
Okay,
and neither is
um,
true.
fair enough. Okay, giant turtle. I don't see why gods would get an afterlife. If it was Christian, who, hoorah, then they would probably end up in heaven or hell. I think you are just really too triggered by Christians. Honestly, it's like a feminist talking about men, honest person, not a disingenuous one. They also sort of do the same with men's rights, just knee jerk on lots of things and assume opposition, let alone science versus magic.
It's not that I presume opposition, it's that I've run into the opposition. There are many cases where Christian chroniclers, when faced with the existence of other gods, would say something to the effect of they cease to exist full stop because they're somehow false gods, quote unquote. There's also the open question of what being a false god means in Christianity, whether it's a being that never existed that people worship erroneously, or whether it's a being that does exist but is a demon or some shit. Don't get mad at me. I'm not conjuring up these explanations. I'm just pointing out that these are at least some of the explanations that Christian theologians have come up with over the years.
Okay. Um, Understood. Coming back to Frank, the good faith discussion around Frank that Summer relates to the question of what impact does he have on the tone of the game, the way it's written and the way it emotionally plays out. The worry is around the Marvelification or the Josh Whedonification of God of War. Is there anything you can say to perhaps give people a better understanding of what Frank is there for and what the potential impact he will have is? To be fair, I feel like that's not even his actual form. Like he was cursed to be that. Gelatinous cube.
Yeah, I don't know because I don't know what mechanism is allowing for a gelatinous cube, because gelatinous cube, as far as we know, is something D&D came up with.
Although, even though I'll be honest, I feel like even if he's just a talking magical cube of gelatin,
Mm.
given that he's voiced by Jack Quaid, who is a very talented actor and voice actor,
Mm.
I still think the human connection or still work.
Mm-hmm.
Frank has probably got 6 or 7 lines in the reveal, so it's not a fully developed personality present there because we're not having as much conversation. So I would say, as we are still in development on all these things, we treat Frank as we would any companion character. His earnestness, his honesty about being in the moment is kind of integral of his character, but that doesn't make him completely unserious. For us, we want to find his humanity as well, discover in the world of everyone things are not great right now. So for him, I think it's really about helping Faye see the world as it is. So he's not meant to be a joke in that kind of capacity. Okay, And I don't really got.
Yeah, nothing to say about that.
I thought it was interesting that he was so immediately trusting of Faye. Yeah, and I think that is a component of his personality, but there's a little more depth to why he is like that. Does he need to be that way when you're depicting a world that is so brutal as what we saw? Do you need that kind of character to stop it from being a bit much? Mir at times had that function. Yeah, I think all the characters, Kratos is pretty serious a lot of the time, and so the levity of other people stands in contrast to that a lot. I mean, that's just standard storytelling, really.
Mm-hmm.
We have characters that go across the spectrum on that, so it's not that we have to be very serious and very light. Like we have real people as much as we can, but I think the reveal is just a small section of the everyone. And so as we kind of open up the world to see the next things, Frank fits into that part. Yeah, again, that just sounds like standard storytelling, honestly.
Mm-hmm. Moving on.
Everyone has been fixated on Kroll and his role in Laufey's story. You've indicated he will play a part. I'm more interested in how much of a presence Atreus has. The first thing Laufey expresses is that she didn't get to say goodbye, and it's easy to forget that means to Atreus as well as Kratos. Is it an important part to her story? Oh, I think definitely. Faye has left Kratos and Atreus, but Atreus, she felt, is not the Atreus of Ragnarok. It's the Atreus of 2018, so much younger. So I think her instinct is my husband, my partner. This is the person I want to make sure that they're taking care of Atreus. I don't think she sees Atreus as the young man he's become in Ragnarok. She's striving to get back to both of them, but the connection I think is really the one of her and Kratos first. They both have an impact in there, but I think she's hoping to connect with Kratos because he's the one who's still with Atreus, taking care of him. Yeah, that seems logical. Makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
All right. With Kratos and Atreus, their quest was to get to the top of the highest point in the realm and spread her back to Kratos and Atreus, and we'll see how she goes. Get back to them? Yeah, or to help them. Okay, that's interesting. The idea of her return is not something I thought about. Well, what she wants and what she needs are probably two different things.
Okay. So
All right,
presumably
okay.
it'll start with her trying to get back to them, and then along the way she'll find out that that's not the best thing for her.
Yeah.
Or something.
She wants to say goodbye. In terms of the gameplay, how difficult was it to shift from a heavy character into one that is more life? Life? I think that because we started with the idea, like we knew it was going to be a Faye game, we had a Faye model. We couldn't just put Kratos animations on her. It just wouldn't make sense. Her body wouldn't move that way. But then I think being able to look back to the Greek era, where Kratos had been a little more of an acrobatic nature, helped. We still have folks in the studio who've worked on those games, so I think this was what if we did this, but this is the person we were executing this. We have executing this. And how would that work, and what things could we borrow? What things could we expand on? That's the fun part of development, just seeing where it can go. We talked already about the late introduction of the Blades of Chaos, and he recounted that it was almost his upending moment move to new weapons because of that work done there. So no, I think that just having a Fey model rig move. Hey Don, I'm gonna be honest. I feel like next time when you get an article, you should read it before deciding to send it.
Yeah, this is a lot of empty. Let's move to the next article.
Okay. I hate to basically skip an article without finishing, but fucking Christ.
Yeah, I assumed they would spend more time talking about the controversies, not just empty fucking non-questions. I should have known better. Modern day journalists, of course, they like hearing themselves talk, even if it's about things that either are so obvious they don't need to be asked, or that just
Well, it's just it's one of those like long interviews that you see for like movies and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
which I mean I don't particularly care for, but
Yeah. Anyway, next article
yeah, it's loading.
that hopefully will stay more on topic.
Why the fuck did you have to jinx us like that?
Knocking on wood.
I think they asked a short question as a sign up to get the question in people's heads.
Yeah, that's probably it too. They're trying to guide where they want the conversation to go.
Okay. So this from Kotaku.com. Been a while since we covered these guys, and I loathe that Dawn sent me this.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously, fuck you.
I know.
I hope Kratos doesn't show up anymore in God of War Laufey, written by King Parrish, published June 4th, 2026. Subheader is Begone Kratos. Why the
I think the lady doth protest too much.
I get why you sent this, but why the fuck do you want to? Why the fuck do I have to cover this shit?
Because it's stupid. And we
I know.
try to torch the stupid.
Yeah, there are days I really want to strangle you.
I am aware you have mentioned many times.
This isn't one of those days, but it's close.
Uh-huh. But moving forward.
Okay.
At least this one is shorter.
It's us, Dalton.
True, but it is a shorter article, so it would be less tedious and more insufferable. But I'd rather deal with insufferable than tedious because at least anger is an emotion.
All right. I'm hyped for God of War Laufey, and I'm tickled to death by all the edits of Faye air juggling monsters while her husband and son tearfully mourn over her corpse. Well, again, if this is technically it's technically not a prequel because it was. I think these events were happening during 2018's God of War. So
yeah, it's
what's that? It's a spin-off, but it's also
by rights it should be a spin-off. Yes,
but it's also again it's a spin-off, but it's also taking place.
Equal question mark.
It's not a prequel, obviously. Okay, let's just stick with spin-off because I feel like that makes the most sense.
Mm-hmm.
So they technically weren't. I mean, they were mourning her, but they were doing stuff. They weren't just huddled over her ash pile.
Yeah, it's not a. It didn't automatically become a sob story for the like rest of the game. There was still plenty of shit that needed to be done.
Yeah. But it's time to put all the funny new. So okay, that first sentence already like, that's just false.
Yeah.
Or are they just being facetious?
I think they're trying to be flippant. They're coming off more as contemptuous and smug, but they're trying to be flippant.
Okay. But it's time to put all the funny new memes aside for a moment to have a real conversation. Oh boy.
Oh dear, a journalist thinks they've had an original idea, which can only mean that this is about to get very, very, very stupid.
I wish I drank. You do this to me. You know that?
I know. I know.
You're not even going to pretend to say sorry this time. Wow, okay.
Because every time I do, you keep telling me not to say it.
I know.
So I just figured we'd skip to the end of the interaction this time.
So fuck you.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Fair
Okay.
enough. Moving on.
Yeah. Okay. I really hope we don't see Kratos again in God of War Laufey. Okay.
I mean, I'm of two minds on it, because on one hand,
I
uh, on one hand, it's central to her character, her connection to him, or um Atreus, but on the other hand, I'm not sure how much cameo you can add without it being just awkward.
I well, given what they did showing her in Ragnarok, which worked well, I feel like if they do it sparingly and only in moments that it really makes sense for the story,
Yeah.
then it works.
Yeah,
So
I think I think it will live or die on the basis of how they can work it into the story.
yeah, made a brief cameo in the 20-minute gameplay presentation that capped off PlayStation's State of Play event this week. And though his name is more or less still in the marquee, his appearance in Lauf worried me. Oh, for fuck off.
That really just feels like you don't like Kratos as a character and are gleefully dancing on his. I I think you're one of the people, oh writer at Kotaku, that
Amy.
wants that wants um the IP to basically be handed to somebody else, namely in this case Laufey, because something 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 woman card.
Okay. And I think something that some people forget, because it, again, the relationship between Kratos and Faye was not touched upon enough. But
Mm-hmm.
from what I had gathered from the scenes I had seen of it, um, they were like partners. They were equals. They loved each other greatly,
Mm-hmm.
and that's shown by how Kratos mourns her even years after her death, and how much he misses her. And it's very evident with how Faye seems to be as well
Mm-hmm.
from the 20 minutes we see of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so treating Kratos as like he's not supposed to be important to Faye's journey now in the Everwind is, I'd say, kind of clearly you're not really understanding
Yeah.
what has been shown so far of the relationship.
Yeah. Use them when it makes organic sense, and don't when it doesn't. This should be very simple. I think avoiding using him at all runs the opposite problem of, again, making it feel like you're trying to replace him with her instead of giving her her own story to work with.
Yeah. Uh,
It's a little bit like how in the original draft of WandaVision, Doctor Strange was going to show up and help Wanda work through her shit because he is both a sorcerer and a doctor. But they said that couldn't possibly be because we don't want to have a female character's arc centered on a male character, even if it does organically make sense that he would help her in that instance.
hmm.
So,
Gentle, I meant that with the gods, for instance, you usually assume anyone not explicitly on your side with it will/might go they were Nephilim or they all died route, and when you know they aren't, it's with unlike the other thing that always happens, they aren't doing this.
it's because, again, if you've actually read the sort of revisionist bullshit of certain theologians, that is what they go with. They either go with the Nephilim thing, with the it was secretly a demon all along thing, with they were actually just humans. That's the one that proliferated most among the Norse pantheon. There's a Norse Christian chronicler that basically thought that the Aesir were actually just human wizards and shit. So like these explanations are not coming from me. They are coming from centuries of theological, basically revisionism. And I get annoyed every time they could potentially show up because it's the easiest trick to pull, and it craps all over every pantheon except the Abrahamic one usually. Anyway, moving on.
The opportunity to play Faye is exciting. The God of War franchise hasn't been very good to its female characters.
Oh, fuck you.
Okay, are we forgetting Freya?
And Athena, and I think also even Persephone, if I'm not misremembering. And
Pandora, kind of.
kind of, but I will give you that basically her being a boss in that instance probably isn't the best portrayal of a female character. But yeah, no, fuck you. This is just the feminism thing. You're just trying to
Oh, actually, you want to hear the example?
stick a flag in the IP and
Hey.
go, I claim this in the name of feminism. Derp.
All the important women in Kratos' life exist only to die, often by Kratos' own hands. That was just his first wife and his daughter. No one else.
Yeah, and
Faye just died. Faye passes from, I want to say maybe sickness or something, not sure.
Mm-hmm.
There have been attempts to address those issues by introducing characters that actually get to stick around and do stuff like Freya, Agrabota, and Thrud. They were only.
You mean that it only exists, the negative thing you're trying to make a big deal out of only happened twice because it only happened twice, you dumbass. And by the way, Kratos was framed as being in the wrong when both of those things happened. So this isn't the patriarchal system, quote unquote, co-signing the death of women or the death of female characters. It's explicitly Kratos is in a fucked up mindset. That fucked up mindset led him to fucking things up, and part of the consequences of those fuck ups were two women that he cared significantly about ended up dying, either through his own short sightedness or in a tragic punishment kind of sense.
Actually, he was tricked by Ares to kill his wife and daughter.
Yeah. So in any case, what I mean is it's not like it's not like God of War as an IP was going, oh yeah, kill the women's. No. Their deaths are meaningful specifically because there are tragedies attendant to them.
Hey, Giant Troll, I'm not trying to be rude here, but if you and Dawn want to have a discussion, which I'm going to assume you guys have had this kind of conversation before, could you have it later? Because I feel like it would be a major sidetrack for things that gotta get done during the podcast. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be rude about it. Obviously, I'm just I know this is going to spiral if I let it continue.
Anyway, yeah, moving on.
All right. Faye, a character with a wealth of consequential history ripe for exploring, feels like the natural extension of that idea. She's certainly capable of taking care of herself and has goals that don't seem to have anything to do with her husband. Okay?
That's not unusual or remarkable or progressive or anything along those lines. you really are just hating on a main male character because they are a main male character. It seems you're gleefully hoping that you can get out your flag and stick it in God of War and be like, I claim this IP in the name of feminism.
Right on. Okay. Having Kratos around, he uses an occasional voice in the sky, as he was in the gameplay trailer, would undermine the whole project. What? He wasn't a voice in the sky. He made a brief appearance.
Yeah, this person is being an ideologically possessed dumbass. But more to the point of the way in which they are being a ideologically possessed dumbass. The goal of the creators, I hope, is not let's give the God of War IP to somebody other than Kratos, especially a woman. That may be what you want from it, but that's because you just want to appropriate an existing IP and put a feminist character in it. I'm not even going to say a female character because female and feminist are not the same thing. You want this as an ideological piece of turf you can stick your feminist flag on and in. That's your goal. That's not necessarily the creative goal. At least I hope not, because if that is the creative's actual goal, then the product will be shit. But yeah, just because you would like a game to star a female character that previously it starred a male character doesn't mean that's anyone else's goal, darling. And you presupposing that that must be the goal is because you are ideologically captured. Moving on.
All right. The new God of War series seems to focus on Kratos' reckoning with his violent past and how that past influences his current identity as a father. We got a good resolution to that story in Ragnarok with Lao Fei on the horizon. Seems like the next turn in the tale is to go beyond Kratos to examine the lives or afterlife in Fei's case of the people around him. But in order for that story to hit the way I think it can, the way I've seen Santa Monica Studio tell incredible God of War stories, Kratos shouldn't be involved. I want Fei's journey to exist completely outside of the influence, as benign and sweet as it seems to be, of her husband. Okay, it does seem to be that though.
Well, that and she gives a shit about her son and husband, so having them not be involved at all would actually do a disservice to her character because it would make her seem like a standoffish bitch who doesn't care about her loved ones. I can't imagine why you would be advocating that a female character you feel represented by would be doing that or anything. You ideologically captured feminist bitch.
Dawn's gay, so
yeah,
whatever.
I can say that. I have I have at least some of the diversity credentials.
Even though I think he's being somewhat crude about it. So.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he's actually a lot of things, but the gay thing I feel like was just the knee-jerk thing for people to shut up. Hey, for the record, Draco, you're good. You don't have to apologize. I get you and Dawn are like very intellectual people, far more than I could ever be. So I just know that if I let you guys go wild while on stream, we're going to be here for like an extra 2 hours.
I think you're selling yourself short there, Brainstormer. But anyway, moving on.
There's also one thing I want. Let the wives meet. Please. Something that's typically missing from bad guy redemption stories is the victim's perspective. He was never a bad... Well, he wasn't perfect, but I'd argue that he wasn't the villain.
He was a person in a very fucked up situation
To be fair,
where
most Greek hero, like traditional
literal
Greek,
gods were against him. And also, I'm not sure what them being his wives has to do with anything. I think this is just you trying to cram a female solidarity feminist bullshit message into things.
to be fair, his first wife, I can't remember her actual name, didn't really get much spotlight. Calliope, who was Kratos' daughter, did have some, though they're not here in the Everywind. It was shown that they are in Elysium, which I think is still around, even though with the death of the gods.
Mm.
So they're hoping they shit Kratos and then hook up and/or therapy session together or something. Kratos was a good husband to. I mean, he wasn't perfect for his first wife because he was busy, fighting as a Spartan general and stuff, But he was a good husband to Faye. That was clearly evident.
I think the author is just hoping that they have a inherent female sisterhood camaraderie, and they'll be able to bitch about their husband's toxic masculinity or some shit.
But the thing I was pointing out earlier is like them. It was shown in the original Greek trilogy that they are in Elysium. They are in the mortal afterlife for Greeks.
Mm-hmm.
But one of them. I know there's like multiple like afterlives in Hades.
Yeah.
But or the underworld. Faye is in the Everywind.
So they wouldn't be in the Everywind anyway.
Yeah, because that's supposed to be a place for like gods or magical creatures that die.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not going to meet. She might meet the Greek gods, possibly.
Yeah, but unless she somehow manages to hop, skip, and jump over into Elysium, I don't think this will.
That makes because the Everywind is a place where it's supposed to be where the gods go when they die.
Yeah.
So that would make sense why the Greek gods probably are there. I'm guessing instead of ending up in like the underworld.
Yeah.
Usually because they're almost always conveniently dead. God of War has always had a built-in narrative device that allows characters to reach across what is normally the impenetrable veil of death, but we've never really seen Kratos meaningfully interact with his first. He had to let his daughter go in Elysium so he could stop Persephone from causing destruction and basically destroying the underworld so she could leave.
Mm-hmm.
He had to give up an eternity in what would be effectively paradise for his daughter to still exist in the afterlife.
Mm-hmm.
Now, yes, that's not his wife, but that is his daughter. Okay, that is a meaningful interaction. Granted, I do believe it was in a side game, but still.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
It's because they want the female characters to be treated like main characters, even in ways that it doesn't make sense for their characters. Because something gender war something for the women's derp.
Okay. Yes, there have been moments in which he's had to hug or not hug them, which was a traumatic thing where he had to fend off apparition versions of himself. Like he was reliving a torturous memory of the night he accidentally killed them. And he was trying to protect them from like ghost versions of himself, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a gameplay mechanic was to hug them in order to give them your own health to protect them.
Mm-hmm.
How the fuck is that not meaningful?
Because Kratos is a male character and he's the main character. Therefore, the female characters are being quote unquote used as a prop in a male character's story, according to feminist theory bullshit.
but nobody's having a real conversation in the midst of a QuickTime event. Wasn't QuickTime. Love represents my best chance to see a quick debrief between Kratos' two wives. I imagine the things they would say to each other would make for a damn good conversation. While I don't deny that part of an interesting
It's
conversation,
not because they're women or because they're female characters. It's
but
because
sorry,
they have personal stories that they may or may not vibe with each other for. But if they vibe with each other, it's not going to necessarily even be because they were Kratos' wives or because something, something, something woman card. It's going to be because they hit it off or because their idiosyncrasies play off each other or something. This, this, the author of this article just is like dyed in the wool feminist ideologically captured moron. They feel like there should be a sisterhood for all female kind and against all male kind, no matter how much they're supposed to care about those men or women. It's the we should unify based on gender instead of based on our individuality. Bullshit. Anyway, moving on to the next thing. Or technical difficulties. It appears to instead be technical difficulties. And now we wait for Brainstormer to make a comeback. Assuming Brainstormer is going to make a comeback anyway. Oh boy. We made it through a sizable portion of the episode without there being technical difficulties. I'm not particularly surprised there were eventually some. But we made it through maybe a third of the episode without technical difficulties. So the question, I suppose, is how long it will take Brainstormer to revivify himself. Oh my. I can't remember the last time Brainstorm was gone this long. He must have had to have rebooted his entire computer. Okay, he's back. Right as I say that. Lol.
Sorry, my internet. Yeah, everything crashed on my end. So,
Yep, figured that must have been what it was.
however, I will take that as a sign that we should skip the article we had and just do the trailers so we can get that done quick before any more crashes happen. So,
Yeah, that's probably a thing. We will save that article for next week. So trailers
yeah,
it is.
give me one sec. Give me one sec. Okay. Yeah, it does seem to be like that a lot of times during Turtle. And I had to change my icon as well, given what we were going to be talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I realize it's not the same character, but it kind of technically is. But also, to be fair, I just wanted to use a piece of Alex Ross art.
Mm.
So we're going to be talking about the Skrill trailer, which, given that it comes out with like another week,
I think 2.
which yeah, we'll be covering. So yeah, we're just going to be talking about this trailer, which came out about 2 weeks ago. We just didn't have time to
Mm-hmm.
watch it. Um, Trying to think. What was it? Apple pie for super stuff?
I think so. Apple pie.
Okay.
Here's the thing. My cousin and I have very different ideas about what it means to be a hero.
Given the retcon of Jor-El and Lorna's backstory there, this could be very potentially dark if Kara was raised on a planet that's a lot more Viltrumite or Saiyan-like than Krypton is usually portrayed.
I've made my stance upon that idea many times, so I'm not going to repeat it here.
Yeah, the only way that can possibly work is if Lex was making it up and doctored it. But according to James Gunn, that is not what happened. So now
Why?
now we have fucking you opened this box and this is what's inside it. So even aside from the drinking thing and everything, you're gonna have to address that.
Okay, the drinking thing I can understand, to be fully honest.
Yeah, she lost her people, and that's
Which
all well and good, but like
which for her actually just happened, given the whole thing being trapped in like the Phantom Zone before coming to Earth, because she was supposed to come to Earth at the same time as Cal, Clark. So she basically look after him and raise him, but because of timey-wimey shenanigans, her cousin, who she saw as a baby the last time, is now full grown, is older than her, and is apparently a superhero and doesn't know anything about Krypton.
Yeah,
I get why she's drinking and stuff.
Yeah,
I mean,
and again, now that James Gunn has confirmed that the second half of the transmission was not faked or doctored, it raises the question of how did that affect Kara's upbringing if she was raised in a similar manner to a Saiyan or a Viltrumite, it seems. That should, given that we've decided that this is a thing, if this is a part of her backstory, then it should impact what she does vis-a-vis heroism.
and I think I've mentioned, but off the top of my head, well, I briefly mentioned, I think you better set this up. The better idea would have been to make her part of the Justice Gang, right?
Mm-hmm.
We could see a little more of that, for time to actually breathe, and
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I think that I disagree with you. I don't think they should have held off on this movie. I just think they didn't build it up properly.
No, they did not.
Because to be fair, everyone talks about. Okay, a little side tangent here, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to do that, but
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of people talk about Batman, and Batman gets a lot of spotlight, which it's a whole can of worms I'm not going to get into.
Mm-hmm.
But people always talk about the Bat Family too, which I agree. Should be given more spotlight as well, because they're an important part of Bruce's character and his whole arc, really.
Mm-hmm.
But Superman, well, honestly, like the big three, the Trinity, right?
Mm-hmm.
They have a really expansive side cast of characters that are very important to them, and their families basically. You got this Bat family, you got the Super family, you got the Wonder family. I know Wonder Woman, we could talk about Wonder Woman all the time. I'm not going to get into that, but the Super family are.
Wonder Woman gets shafted of the three of them.
Although apparently she's doing really well in the Absolute Universe.
Interesting.
Yeah, people really like that for incarnation of her, actually.
Neat.
Yeah. Well, they're really touching upon she was raised by Cersei in Hell, so.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, the Super family, from what I have gathered, because I am starting to get into it more, even though they're not really touched upon as much, are an interesting collection of people, because unlike the Bat family, right,
Mm-hmm.
who are in a way of Bruce Wayne refinding himself, not just the Batman persona, but
Mm-hmm.
constructing his own family of people who are also hurt, who have been broken and are trying to fix themselves, and are all guided by this ideal of justice, granted in various different ways. But with the Super family, they're all good people in one form or another. All of them stood up against something bad. Let's take example for the bigger ones, Steel, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who made weapons and got cheated out of that because of a contract thing, and got screwed over to such an extent that he could only really do construction work in a way. Got saved by Superman because he asked why save it, like he saved his life, and Superman said, make it worth something, you know?
Hmm.
They gravitate towards Superman because he's an inspiring figure, and they aspire to be better, to be on his level, right? Is Superman.
Hmm.
I'll even, Superboy, Connell, Connor Kent.
Hmm.
I know there are a few different Superboys, but I'm going to stick with the clone, obviously, for multiple
Mhm.
reasons. He was created to replace Superman originally by Lex Luthor or whatever version. Again, I'm sticking with that one because I know that one.
Hmm.
Instead of, instead of trying to replace Superman, they become like brothers, really.
Hmm.
My ultimate point is that with the Super Family, these are all people trying. They're not. They are hurt in some way, but they're not to the extent that the Bat Family is. Right? They
Mhm.
are people that are genuinely trying to just do good for the sake of good, even though their motives still vary. Which is kind of the whole point of Superman, right? Doing good because it's right.
Hmm.
So, and with Kara, that's interesting because, again, I still think, still keeping with my idea of, they're all good people, just motivated by different reasons to be good. Kara's interesting in the fact that she kind of does challenge it in the sense that she has kind of that cynical edge, that chip on her shoulder simply because of what
She
happened.
has survivor's guilt.
Yes, but she still does good, you know,
Hmm.
which I think, again, is like the embodiment of overall like Superman as a whole. Human, but still do good anyway. Which I realize
Well,
is.
and there's, sorry.
I was going to close it with like, I realize that's the irony because Kara technically isn't human, but still, has great.
Well, and the thing is, given what they set up in Superman 2025, which James Gunn is insisting was not doctored by Lex, you're gonna have to come to terms with the fact that this version of Krypton is essentially a warrior society. In this particular version of Krypton, it's apparently not just people like Zod that are that way. It's the default for all Kryptonians.
Oh,
And they
again,
did
I
it.
can see where they're drawing the.
Hmm. Did he cut out again? Did we lose Brainstormer? I think we might
Give me
have
one
done.
second.
So it's not technical difficulties this time. He just had to
Give me one sec. Give me one sec.
Mhm.
All right. Where was I?
I was bringing up the unfortunate James Gunn decision that now means that Kara probably should be more on the anti-hero side of things,
Well,
and
okay.
or that she's gonna have to grow as a person to realize how fucked up her upbringing was and embrace Earth as her adoptive home.
Right. So I can bring up a few instances I think would have made sense. Okay, so in Alan Moore's For the Man Who Has Everything, because yes, he did write that comic originally before it was adapted
Hmm.
by J. I think it was JLU.
Hmm.
Was it, or is it just like cartoon? No, I think it was.
Either way.
I think it was JLU.
Yeah.
So I think that one was a better interpretation. But in the when Superman is attacked with the Black Mercy, which is a alien plant parasite that sends your consciousness into like a dream. It's like the perfect world for you, right?
Hmm.
In the comic, Krypton is on kind of a, never got blown up, and Cal got to live a whole life on there, right?
Hmm.
But his father led a kind of traditionalist, it was very much political commentary that is fitting for Alan Moore at the time, right?
Hmm.
But so Jor-El was a member of traditionalist, like very like hard-edged, old-time kind of group on Krypton. The kind, right?
Hmm.
While Carl was more like the progressive, like, and this was like the '80s, so those terms actually meant something.
Hmm.
But like so I could see where they were going with it, but it doesn't really seem like they're going that specific way, possibly. And then,
Yeah.
kind of moving on to your car as an anti-hero kind of thing, which I can kind of see given her more recent incarnations, more
She
probably.
essentially needs to have an Omni-Man like arc, given what they've set up almost. Go ahead.
The other reference I could make was also New 52 Supergirl, which I actually have heard has gotten a good reception, where she had more of that warrior mentality, that she was more aggressive than Clark. Even more to the point where she even got a Red Lantern ring, which I think would also be interesting, actually, for live action. But I don't think they're going either of those points, obviously, because I just don't think they understand either of those two ideas.
They've decided to go a completely weird, backwards version of Krypton, and so either you're gonna have to have her be on the anti-hero side, or you're gonna have to have her reject her upbringing in favor of her adopted home.
Right, and you know what? I thought she was orbiting the sun in stasis.
But
why is she?
Some versions of that is how it works.
Yeah, the ones I know, she was stuck in the Phantom Zone.
I don't know if we get a definitive answer in the 2025 movie as to how it works mechanically.
I think we'll get it here in her movie, obviously, more.
Most likely that it'd be really silly not to.
Yeah. Why is she in Crisis on Earth? The Earth was stronger than men. Are you talking the animated movies? She was the one who's made into Harbinger, so like the right hand of the Monitor. So that kind of made sense. Why she was stronger?
The Monitor amped her basically. What Galactus did for Norrin Rad, he did for her in Crisis.
To be fair, was the canon version of Krypton much better? Just instead of superhuman warrior civilization, it's eugenic technocratic science civilization. I'm not sure I know that version actually.
Yeah, that's mostly for
that was Man of Steel, wasn't it?
Yeah,
that's not Krypton.
mostly a Man of Steel thing. That's not.
I mean, like, look, I just think
That's
about
not
it.
a primary That's not a primary continuity thing.
To be fair, okay, actually, my knowledge of Krypton is rather limited because I've not seen a good portrayal or something that. What I remember seeing in the OG comics, she was depicted as such, though getting the second hand or so. Maybe not. To be fair, Supergirl is a really confusing comic history. Like, very confusing.
Yeah, because nobody can really decide what to do with her.
Saw that in a comic, but might be a retcon thing. Comics, man, they've lived. Fucking Christ.
There are 47 different versions of any given origin story. It's just how
Yeah.
how it works.
Generally, how I have always understood Krypton to be, at least. One, it would. To be fair, it's like any civilization. It's going to have its issues, but I do think ultimately it's a very nuanced thing. It's an older society comparative to Earth, obviously. So it had a lot longer to kind of develop and build. Let alone when you get Power Girl in with Super. Yeah, it really is confusing on so many. I'm not. We can spend hours on that talking how confusing that shit is.
And we can, yes.
But to be fair, this is my kind of own interpretation of how I would want Krypton to be done, right? At least how I see Krypton as it should. For one thing, it is not a unilateral civilization. It has multiple, like Earth, right? One I've always kind of, I don't mind it because it is a little easier. Bless you.
Thank you.
It's a little easier for sci-fi to do when you just have like one civilization that has one singular culture, even though that makes no sense given how big a planet can be and how spread out a species could be.
That's one of those reoccurring issues I have with Star Trek. Why is it that Earth is the only multicultural civilization? Not in the political multicultural sense, as in there are multiple cultures on a single planet or involving a single species. Like, why is there only one Klingon language while there are hundreds of human languages, for example?
Yeah.
Now, good sci-fi stories will resolve this by saying that adaptability is a talent unique to humans. Like Ben 10 does that. In the latter stages, Star Trek does that. Our capacity to adapt and be multifaceted is what we're good at. Whereas other alien species, again, thinking in like Ben 10 or Star Trek terms, they spec into one particular talent or one particular variety of talents, like Klingons are warriors, the Dominion are technocrats, etc., and so on. In a lot of good sci-fi, they eventually establish that the reason why humans are so prone to multifacetedness is because adaptability is our species trait. But yeah, it frequently baffles me that there aren't multiple countries, or even if they did grow to a one world government type system, that doesn't change cultures or like for example, the Federation is a one world government in Star Trek. But that doesn't change the fact that Jean-Luc Picard is French and still has some of the cultural trappings of a Frenchman, etc., and so on.
Okay. All of them at least being more authoritarian and dogmatic makes sense because that explains how the core thing went without notice. That or the versions where they were too reliant on Brainiac and he didn't tell them to save themselves.
Yeah,
didn't tell anyone to save themselves.
Yeah, I personally like the essentially Brainiac as Big Brother continuity from the Superman animated series, both because it makes a certain amount of sense and doesn't require Kryptonians themselves to be morons, but also because it kind of makes Brainiac and Clark brothers, because in that continuity, it's Jor-El who makes Brainiac in the first place.
Yeah, that's actually been my that was always like an idea I'd had whenever I was trying to write a Superman story that had Brainiac as the main villain. Is that Brainiac was a artificial intelligence developed by Jor-El, um, like a young Jor-El who was very anxious, very like almost egotistical. Like Brainiac could have been based off his own like psychology or brain patterns or whatever,
In
right?
a similar way to how Ultron
Ultron
is
and
in Age of Ultron. Yeah.
well, I was gonna say how he is to Hank Pym in the comics because, whoo boy.
Yeah.
But yeah, that does add an interesting layer. But also to be fair, okay, you could say the same for other races. And the other races, they are the only really egalitarian culture. But yeah, to be fair, I really do like the versions of Brainiac that are part of Krypton or even partially responsible for the destruction of Krypton.
Yeah.
So I think that just adds a layer and explains a lot of like the intense like opposition he holds to Superman. But yeah, with like again, this is my own personal headcanon of how Krypton works. Kind of a mixture of different things I've been exposed to over the years. Like how I see its society, right? It is, while there is like different cultures and like beliefs and philosophies as one does tend to happen as a planet or civilization, right? I do think there is like a central unified like government at the very least. Like it is a what was that? It's not technocratic. It is one based off of science and like mathematics, like intelligence, like a government ruled by but like it's like meritocracy, but also what's scientific government? A government run by science. I know there's like a terminology for it, but I can't remember.
It depends on what you mean.
Just overall science.
Right, but it depends on how you're defining science. If you mean like a bureaucracy, then the word is technocracy. I'm not sure what you. The most I can think of is maybe a futurist society. If you're talking about like the outcomes of science.
Actually, yeah, okay, that would make sense. Okay, futurist society then, futurist society, but taking to its logical extreme, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Hence why Krypton would explode. One thing, I also go with the idea that that Krypton was mined, like it's an over mined over. It exhausted all of its natural resources effectively. I don't know. That just simply makes sense to me, but I could, so I'm not entirely sure if naturally a planet can explode or implode on itself.
I guess it depends on the core of the planet.
Well, Krypton is supposed to be very similar to Earth in its composition, right? So that would yield to the fact that it would have pretty much a similar core to Earth, more or less, right? So, like, what would that be, like an iron core?
In theory, yes. I've also seen people suggest that Krypton has a dwarf star core. But that's
anyway.
We should get back to the trailer.
Yeah.
He sees the good in everyone. And I see the truth.
brigands. Brought destruction to every corner of the universe. This legacy must be.
Okay.
No particular
Anything or-
comments. No.
Okay.
Apple pie.
defended.
You cannot give up on me.
Now it's a party.
Oh, that might be a problem.
Still got none.
No. You?
Nothing. Apple pie?
Which? Yep. Apple
You
pie.
forgot. I don't feel anything, right? Like,
Which, given that we've had 3 pause sections where we couldn't really say much about, it's not. At the very least, it's not a good sign for the trailer.
yeah. I mean, it's just stuff we kind of already knew, already seen.
Yeah,
It doesn't really-
They didn't really add too terribly much.
Nope.
Apple pie.
Now I'm just thinking something. Okay.
Oh boy, here we go.
Okay, well, I'm not gonna get into how I would, because I just. All right, let's say we placed Hawkgirl with Supergirl for the Justice League gang in Superman 2025.
Especially because it wasn't really like it never really. Hawkgirl never really contributed much of anything.
She killed Gurkos.
True.
That's it. Which honestly, you could do the same because Supergirl is willing to kill. That's actually an established part of her character, usually.
Yeah. Especially if you are going with the odd decision that James Gunn appears to be running with.
I don't think it's odd. Oh wait, okay.
The
Just
the backstory thing that
Okay.
apparently wasn't what the sensible people would say, which is that Lex clearly doctored it, but apparently no. But yeah, if Krypton is more of a warrior-coded civilization, something like the Viltrumites or the Saiyans,
actually,
Kara being less precious about killing would make logical sense. In the same way it makes sense for Omni-Man.
shit. You know what? I'm just gonna say, have Supergirl be, because
It would
if I had it my
it would also free up Clark more to not necessarily need to do everything if they've already got a Kryptonian on the team.
yeah. But also, okay, if you stick with and kind of expound on it a little more of her being the drunk, her fights would be a little more interesting, given that you could have it that she is that she's getting a lot more drunk while trying to be a superhero at the same time.
Right.
So she's a lot more reckless. Which again which helps separate the two and explains why Superman's always so like, shows how much like Clark is really trying.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but also, it's a good way to have her. Honestly, you could add scenes where she's talking to Clark about like things about Krypton and stuff, and explain the whole
Mhm.
message thing. If you wanted to keep it, I personally wouldn't. But
Yeah, I think everyone, even people that liked Superman 2025, can say that that was a really dumb idea. But
I kind of
that
want.
raises the question of how he and Kara have never had this conversation. Like,
She's mostly getting drunk, and I think it's implied that she's only been found by Clark relatively recently.
okay, that may well be the case, because that's the other thing of having her around would be if this is what James Gunn has decided to do with Krypton, then surely when they first met each other, they should have had this conversation.
Well, no, she had to learn English first,
True, fair enough, I guess.
which would have taken a while, I think.
Did they ever address that?
Not in, not this, not many incarnations actually. Now that I think about it, usually they're just able to speak English pretty quickly.
I think because something universal translator technology or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, apple pie.
Yeah. Give me 1 second.
I know it's pretty colorful, but that's just so everyone knows we're good.
Call me for your lovers alibi.
I'm going to tell you something. Only one of you is going to make it out alive.
Yeah, still none.
Yeah, does not bode well. Apple pie.
Okay, you know what? We got one more.
Oh dear. Technical difficulties Mark II. Okay, he's back. That was quicker.
I don't know. As soon as I started talking, it just crapped out. I'm back.
Oh.
Where did I lose you?
You literally were just about to start talking, it seems.
Okay. Hold on. Let me pull it back up. All right. Seeing as we really don't have much to talk about with the trailer, and I recently started this, and I feel like I should kind of talk about it. Board. Shut up. And I wrote tiny little pitches for a couple of beginning movies of how I would do a DC universe, cinematic universe, whatever you want to call it. I don't care. I recently, because I kind of have a TikTok. It's nothing special. I just like get photos and I post them there with like some edits. So recently I posted a Batman one and a Superman one, and I'm working on a Wonder Woman one. Kind of a little tricky. I don't know why TikTok's being a bitch about it. Trying to upload that, but your internal, from what I understand, a technocracy is more when you have a hyper meritocracy focus especially on intelligence for leadership and often more willing to use tech like AI. I really hope this is survivor's guilt and depression, but I worry they are going to go, oh my god, she's a lonely girl failure just like me. Like, oh my god, I can imagine someone saying that during a turtle. Fuck you,
Yeah,
man.
the
Oh,
feminist projectionalism.
you know what? Also, well, I don't know if this would really go over if it actually happened. Now that I'm thinking about it, but if Supergirl were to replace Hawkgirl in Superman 2025, and she's the one who kills Gurkos, that line of "I'm not like Superman" kind of fits her more.
Mm-hmm.
But, back to what I was saying, I was like, my DC, and I have like a fan casting there. I'm not going to get to that because it doesn't really matter. But stories wise, for the Batman one, which was the first one I posted, because that one kind of came easy because I'd recently watched some stuff I thought was interesting. I combined the story of the Doom that came to Gotham with Batman Gothic, which made it like a very supernatural, Lovecraftian detective story. Because that is not something a lot of people that see Batman as, even though that's a part of him.
Mm-hmm.
And with Superman, that was also easy because it was, well, I was adapting some ideas from American Alien, mostly for character of Clark, him being kind of a goober and new kid on the block in the Daily Planet.
Mm-hmm.
It's also based off a episode from Superman the Animated Series, The Late Mr. Kent, where Clark kind of sort of has to fake his death because he was trying to expose a corrupt cop who framed an innocent man for murder who was going to be put on death row. And, you know, it's kind of, it is effectively another detective story, but told from the perspective of a reporter. So investigative journalism, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, if that sounded too utopian for my technocracy definition, imagine if we had no license and just chose the president based on standardized tests and IQ scores, accurate tests, but still. No, it made sense, Giant Turtle. I appreciate the definitions and the explaining of it for me. I appreciate it. Thank you. Wonder Woman 1 was a little tricky because I had to look up some stuff. But you know what? I'm sorry. You know what? Fuck it. That one was kind of Indiana Jones meets what was it? Like based off a. Okay. But yeah, Wonder Woman discovering a lot because I did some research because obviously you got to for Wonder Woman.
Mm-hmm.
There are some iterations where she leaves the island of Themyscira or Paradise Island or however you want to call it, and she cannot return, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was interesting because that gives an interesting dynamic for the character of Diana.
That's her
Who,
actively choosing the world over her people, and
because you know, there are some stories where she can't go back or she can and you know becomes an ambassador, but she ultimately ends up looking for a lost tribe of Amazons that stayed in the world of man. And like I said, it's kind of like Indiana Jones or like Tomb Raider or something along those lines, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And those are supposed to be the first 3 movies of that movie universe.
Mm.
Does that not sound like a better start to a universe?
Yes, it does.
My question is
Right.
how? Well, what makes it more interesting than this.
I think because it allows there to be depth in the world without necessarily requiring everything to be media red, like in the middle of everything, like it is with this one. Because DC twice now has tried to fast track the broader continuity at the expense of the individual movies. It happened in BVS, and it happened to some extent with Superman
So
2025.
can I? And we've had this discussions before, right? And we're gonna have it again, obviously. But I don't mind when we kind of start in like kind of the middle of the world, right? Like we're in it, like stuff's happened. But the issue you always that the last two iterations of the DC universe on film have done, the major issue is it does not feel like it is lived in, right?
No,
It does
just
not
feels like
feel
they're trying to. It just feels like they're trying to speed run world building.
right. And what I say is like, and this is coming from a guy who actually is actively creating a universe that is supposed to be lived in, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. Okay? Now that song's stuck in my head, Giant Troll. Thank you. I'm saying thank you because that is actually I like that song a lot. It's a fun song. Let me see. Istanbul,
Yeah, that's a good song.
yeah. But fuck, what was I? Right. So the major issue, I mean, to be fair, the DC as it is actually has done a little better in terms of the lived inness. Kind of.
Mhm.
It's still flawed, don't get me wrong, but
Yeah.
it's far better than DCU because it was still trying to build up things while trying to say that things were lived in. You know, the worst part is when I was doing when I got into trying to do the DCE rewrite project I had,
Mm-hmm.
it was pretty easy actually to have it.
Yeah, it's always that way. It's the same way with post Phase 3 MCU as well. It's not that these ideas couldn't work, it's that they needed to be executed properly. It takes very little tweaking to get a good story out of them usually. It's just a
Oh,
matter of
that's
somebody actually bothering.
that's actually a good idea, Giant Troll. If you want a reason she can't return, maybe she believed so strongly in this goal that she was willing to stake her life on it, that she could never return until she accomplishes the thing, so she would eventually do it or die trying. So like an oath thing, which there's actually a whole story where she takes an oath to protect someone from Batman, because she was a murderer, but because she is bound by ancient Greek laws, like oaths, right, like blood or sworn oaths, she is compelled to do so. It's very interesting. It's actually one of like the most well-regarded like Wonder Woman stories out there. I can't remember the specific name, but
But anyway, shouldn't we wrap this trailer up so we can do the other one? The one you wanted to save as a
just
surprise.
sorry.
Apple pie.
Okay, just kind of rounding out what I was going to say about the whole world building out.
Sorry, go ahead, yeah. Did we lose him again? We lost him again. Bugger. I could tell as soon as he started roboting that we were probably going to lose him, and we did. Unfortunate. What are you doing, Zephyr? Zephyros, what are you doing? Zephy, come here. Sorry, cat demanding attention. You good, Zeph?
Hello.
Okay, he's back.
Okay. Yeah, let's finish this and then we'll move on to the next one, and then we can call it.
Yep.
Fuck was I gonna? Right. Okay. Before I do, world building. If you're gonna have viewing at a certain point in the history of the world, make sure you have the world figured out before then, and that it all makes sense, and there are things happening even though we don't have like the quote unquote camera focused on it. That's
Yeah.
how a world feels lived in. Like things are just
your
happening.
characters should have lives outside of what the plot requires of them, and your world should have stuff going on in it outside of what is necessary to tell a single particular story.
Control, we need a crossover with one Thor, but Shakespearean Thor, like in Earth's Mightiest Heroes. I think there have been, actually.
Yeah, and in the comics a couple of times. I know at one point Diana was wielding Thor's hammer in a couple different crossovers.
I remember in the Amalgam, they had Amazon, which was Storm and Wonder Woman merged together.
Mm.
I think maybe also Thor, but I can't remember. Anyway. Apple pie?
Yep. Apple pie.
We haven't been formally introduced.
I'm gonna be honest, I think the color palette could have been better.
Yeah.
It's just really
I like-
too much like
I like this shot, but I think it could have been
It's
done
too-
better.
it's well, to be fair, I don't know where they are, but the landscape is like very brown, very dark, and like grungy, which I mean makes her costumes stand out more, but still. She's on another alien planet. Why the fuck does it have to look like a barren landscape? If you're gonna do barren landscape, then make it fucking like grand. Or you know what? Honestly, do fucking Jack Kirby. I'm so fucking sick of people avoiding Jack Kirby. Honestly.
Yeah, it's annoying.
The guy made the fucking New Gods. Okay? That shit was fucking insanity in itself. Okay? Like, fucking be crazy. I can't believe Taika Waititi in Thor Ragnarok had the bet fucking did Jack Kirby fucking justice. No one else has fucking done it. Like,
Not even Taika Waititi in Love and Thunder. Oh god.
anyway. There's 12 seconds left, so.
Apple pie.
Yep. Okay. June 26th. So yeah, you were right. Like 2 weeks.
Yep.
Okay. Let me get the other thing up and running then.
I assume it's loading.
Yeah, it's taking a minute. Sorry. Okay. General agreed with the world building stuff. Yeah, fair. Thank you. And like the Dragon Ball Canyon battle scenes. You know, weirdly enough, they were actually pretty colorful. Granted, that was just animation, so, but still, like, I don't know, man. It's just like it weirds me on that shit. I'm like that, again, alien planets often they're made to look very barren and bland. At least in modern time. Like every time they do like space shit, but fucking, I don't know. It's just, is it me or
No, it's not you. It's annoying.
okay?
Build fucking planets with actual context to them, please.
Okay, so I saw this and I thought it was super interesting, and I'm not gonna lie, I am going to see this when it comes out in September. So it is the official trailer for How to Rob a Bank. Starring Holt. Shall we?
Yep. Can't really think of any.
Moneyball. No.
I don't know.
Oh, Jackpot. Okay, name me one.
Cherries, because of the slot machines. You know what I mean? The old-fashioned slot machines.
No, I know. The fact that you try to stick to the food bit is astonishing to me.
Why is that astonishing?
Well, it's just for this trailer. I don't think it's necessary. I feel like we can do something else, but okay, Jerry's it is. I'm not complaining about it. I didn't think of that. Is all.
Mm-hmm.
Jerry's.
Cherries.
You know what's more powerful than money? An audience. Rolling.
Let me break some numbers down for you. Odds of owning your home, 4 out of 10. Odds of earning a 6-figure salary, 2 out of 10. But the success rate of armed robberies.
This seems fun.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. So apparently
like
it's
action comedy kind of fun.
Hold on. I remember looking up who. Sorry. Okay. Yeah, it's a heist comedy.
I don't
directed by-
think I've seen one of those since Tower Heist. I think Tower Heist is the last one of those I saw.
I was getting a lot of like Snatch and Inside Man. If anyone's seen those two bank heist movies.
Also a little bit of Now You See Me.
It's made by David Leitch.
Ah. Cool.
Yeah. Fuck. Oh, also, there was this one movie I saw, Den of Wolves, as well. I get a little bit of that,
Mm.
with a little more colorful flair. I think
I don't think I've ever seen Den of Wolves.
it's not bad. It's a little more grounded. Think of it as like a modern day Heat,
Ah.
but the cops are corrupt too.
Heat.
It's okay.
But
Yeah, Cherries. Yeah.
Cherries.
Is 9 out of 10. Let's make some content.
Blue is for blanks. No one has to get hurt, all right?
Go, go, go! Oh, shit. Oh, Golden Girls, all right.
Yeah, this seems fun.
Yeah.
Also, you know what? I was kind of surprised that a lot of more criminals don't do that.
Mm.
Upload their crimes on YouTube.
I think because YouTube is required to take down anything that's directly tied to a police investigation.
Well,
something
dude,
along those
once it's on the internet, it never goes away. So
This is also true. This is also true. I'm just saying that I think there are rules regarding YouTube in this instance. Not that stopped them before, but yeah, this kind of thing is the kind of thing you'd expect to see more on 4chan back when that was still a thing. And I don't think 4chan has a video function. Or had a video function.
but the fact that they're incorporating like the online kind of nature.
There are IRL streamers who have gotten away with crimes. It's just that's not usually a good thing.
Oh, wait. We don't. Oh, for fuck. Janitor, I'm talking about the Guy Ritchie movie. I know you're making a joke, but I also think you're not, because given all the things you've never heard of, I wouldn't be surprised if you hadn't heard of Snatch. Good movie, by the way. I totally recommend it. There's a thing where criminals were live streaming a crime and the police commenting or something mid-chase.
Yeah.
God, we really do live in a memeable world now, don't we?
We do. It is clown world. We have but to honk.
All right. But what I was gonna say was, like, it does give them the chance to do like very interesting camera tricks, given that they are like actually.
Why don't any found footage movies make use of like live streaming as a thing?
A couple have. Well, actually, there was a horror movie, Korean. It's like a Korean horror movie. Koreans do horror really well, by the way. Where they went to a haunted asylum, abandoned haunted asylum, and weird shit started happening on live stream and everything. It was like fucking insane. Been a few movies recently that have also like Western movies that have done that too.
I remember there was Unfriended, but I think that's the closest thing to that I've seen.
There was one where people were, I can't remember the name of it, but it was they were live streaming exorcisms, but it was all a joke until one actual true exorcism and shit.
Mm.
Why you would ever make a joke out of that kind of shit? Clearly inviting fucking trouble from the other dimensions
People are dumb.
for clout too. Just,
People are reckless and stupid.
all for 15 minutes of fame, man. Like fucking Christ.
Yeah,
Also-
well,
I knew you never heard of them. I'm
some
sorry.
people are just that narcissistic, dude.
Giant Troll has never heard of Snatch. Okay, it's a Guy Ritchie movie. It stars Jason Statham, Brad Pitt. It's really good. It's a British crime film, crime comedy.
Mm.
I think you'd enjoy it, Giant Troll. It's super fun. But yeah, it gives them a chance to do really like interesting and inventive like camera tricks, given that these big robbers are wearing cameras and stuff, so you get like first person view and stuff.
Mm.
To be fair, exorcisms are about getting anything out. Sort of weird. Something went in. I think it was a trick. Because the guy was basically like, again, it's been a while since I've seen the movie or like seen clips of it. But again, he wasn't he wasn't like a real exorcist. He was doing it all for like, yeah, I've seen Cloverfield. It's not the best movie, I'll be honest.
Mm.
But, anyway. But you also get a sense of these robbers because, they're not using live ammo, they're using blanks and stuff, and they let the old lady walk out. Like they didn't just grab her and throw her back into the bank as a hostage or anything.
Mm-hmm.
So you already get a sense of their characters just from like 40 seconds into a trailer.
The lovable jackasses with hearts of gold, etc.
Yeah. Cherries?
Cherries.
Welcome to our channel, How to Rob a Bank.
15 banks, 900 million views. These clowns are making the FBI look like fools.
Congratulations. Here, for the college fund.
We have a hacker under house arrest. We should use her. Reagan Gardner?
I'm a little.
Oh, Catwoman. Also, making the FBI look like fools? Come on. It's not that hard. They're fucking joke.
They're imbeciles.
Well, to be fair, that's all the American government is.
Well, this is also true, but especially the three-letter agencies.
Oh my god. Worst part is, I am fairly certain there are smart people in there, but they don't ever get the chance to actually do.
Yeah, they get
shit.
dragged down by everything else.
Yeah. If we don't, for the record, assume that they ghosted us, given the shit we're saying. Because they don't like being talked down to. Because they're a bunch of small-dicked, egocentric pieces of shit.
I regret nothing.
Yeah. He was on our radars, the FBI's motto. Sometimes the whether incompetence or something else is sometimes in question. Yeah. That's a pretty star-studded cast, too. That's pretty cool.
Neat.
Yeah. And then it's going to be good because more than likely they're all having fun doing this.
Yeah.
Cherries?
Cherries.
Busy.
You don't smell busy.
That's incense.
This program you created finds people that don't want to be found.
I kind of got stuck in this rabbit hole trying to track down my ex, that devil-dipping man-child. I'm over it.
Seems like it. If you help us find these guys, we would drop all your charges.
Shut up.
Huh.
Mm.
I mean, to be fair, I could totally see people doing this.
Yeah.
You know, the whole like making videos and stuff while doing like these kind of things, like especially my generation.
Yeah, again, there are people who definitely do this, like prank YouTubers, prank YouTubers
God.
and prank live streamers, particularly.
I'm sorry, those are a bunch of fucking assholes, and I would argue fucking lunatics, given how
Correct.
insane those goddamn pranks get.
Yep, like the guy that hid his arm in his pocket like it was a gun, and then went up to people randomly in London saying, "Do you want to die, bro?"
What the Jesus. Oh my.
Yeah.
Like,
I
seriously, those
forget
guys
the name.
have
I
no-
forget the name of the dude, but I remember that is a thing that happened.
Seriously, some of these idiots have no fucking self-preservation. I kind of wish Darwinism would take effect, to be honest. They'll be
Yep.
better off.
I'm kind of amazed he never wound up with somebody just beating the fuck out of him, to be honest with you.
Probably didn't show it up in the video then. He did. I'm betting he did, to be honest.
Well, no, this was on a live stream specifically, so there's very little room for editing shit out.
Okay, fair enough.
As far as we know, he never got beaten the fuck up for it.
Should have. Otherwise, how do you learn? I believe the term you mean is nuisance streamers. Yeah, that feels accurate. Honestly, I don't know. I've tried to watch live streamers. I can never get into them that much. So none of them seem interesting to me.
Although pot and kettle, I'm sure someone who hates us would say.
Well, there's some podcast. Well, okay, never mind. Moving on. Cherries.
Cherries.
I like them. They have like a whole Robin Hood thing going on.
We have to give it to like a real charity. Like OnlyFans is not a charity.
There's just too much footage here for them not to have made a mistake.
I'm telling you, we can find them.
Whoa! I don't think you're a murderer.
No, I'm not. Banks are. You know, they kill someone you love. They don't get a bullet. They get a bonus.
Jesus Christ. He's not wrong. Which makes it really fucking hard not to be on his side.
Yep.
To be fair, I have a, you know what? I'm not getting into that. That's kind of personal. But yeah, just that's too real.
Cherries.
Cherries.
I'm just doing my job.
Have you seen it?
Son of a... They're gonna rob this bank because this one's personal.
I don't worry about the ambitions of thieves.
Didn't your bank just get bailed out and like screw over a lot of people?
Many such cases. That is a large part of what banks do, unfortunately.
Thank God I didn't try to get a loan through the bank. Anyway.
Cherries.
Cherries.
This also kind of seems like thievery, no?
I love you guys. You finish what we started.
They're making a point. The system's corrupt.
The weird thing is, actually, the good thing here is I don't feel this is heavy-handed because it is told from the perspective of the characters. You know, it feels like this is important. It's not just some blatant commentary, obviously.
Right.
It feels like people that have been pushed to the edge
Yeah.
because of the negligence and, frankly, corrupt nature of the system that it is.
Yeah. It's also not throwing a bunch of bullshit jargon around. It's just
It feels genuine.
the
You know, it feels
classic like Robin Hood, Bonnie and Clyde sort of irreverence.
Yeah, you know, just it. I feel like anyone else would have made this very like, you know what? Okay, it's not on Joker territory and level of like the commentary of it, but it does have that kind of element of like, these are people that are doing this because, well, shit got so fucked sideways for them that this is really the only way they can.
Yeah, that's when the system screws you over every so often, you wind up in a situation where you want to take a little bit of your own back.
Yeah, which I'm fairly certain a lot of people feel like.
Yeah, especially in today's day and age.
But again, yeah, this.
Cherries.
Well, again, I was just gonna say, like, yeah, it's commentary, but not preachy. I feel like it's an important distinction to make. You know.
Yeah.
It's not talking to you. It's saying something. If that makes sense.
It's just telling a story, and some elements of that story will take the form of people who got repeatedly screwed over being like, up yours, in this case banks, and we don't even know if other things will be included or if it will just be the banks.
Saying banks kill people, though, that's the rabbit hole that leads to things like you can't reject this person or hurt their feelings. You're killing them. Maybe I'm knee-jerking too much. I'm getting Luigi vibes here. I mean, I can see how you're seeing that, but I'm not genuinely getting that, to be fair.
If anything, it's only in a comedic sense. I don't think they're trying to be legit. I don't think they're not trying to produce Oscar bait. They're just giving us characters with chips on their shoulders so that we can justify their cynical, weary sense of humor.
Yeah. And again, this was made by David Leitch. It's being directed by David Leitch, who's done The Fall Guy, who's done Deadpool 2. Well, he didn't do Deadpool. He worked on Deadpool 2. He did Bullet Train, which are all great films. That were actually very emotionally impactful to me. Well, more so Bullet Train and Deadpool 2. Fall Guy was fun. But yeah, this feels on the line with like Deadpool 2 and Bullet Train, with both being like comedic, action heavy, but also something deep, you know, something like it's got a heart to it, you know.
I think it's fair to say we'll start with them all being out for themselves, and they'll eventually develop a found family dynamic, a la like the Suicide Squad, or at least what the Suicide Squad was going for. Anyway, cherries. Unless we lost Brainstorm.
No, I'm here. Just things were a little slow on my end, so.
Okay.
All right, Cherry.
Are we in a car chase?
We just need to get there fast. Get out of the car! Is this Huddle Level Big? Yeah. Go. I love your show! Thanks for watching!
This is what you get.
That's actually funny.
Mm-hmm.
You know, guys getting carjacked by people that he watches, you know, like the YouTuber
That is kind of funny.
Yeah. And he's not even mad about them jacking his ride either.
Mm.
He's actually kind of stoked. Like, I don't know, imagine Markiplier having to steal your car. I realize you don't drive, but still.
I also am not the biggest fan of Markiplier, but
God damn it. You know, I shouldn't be surprised. He's actually nice, joyful, and pretty easygoing person. Doesn't match your
I've
vibe at
never
all.
really seen much of his content other than the movie that got released recently.
Oh. I guess he is a little after your time. Wait,
Yeah.
no. No, actually. That would have been at the right time, actually.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, you were in the whole Channel Awesome thing, so never mind.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's 10 more seconds, so.
Cherries.
Cops!
Oh shit.
Dude, you blew a stop sign!
When you mess with
Yeah, September 4th.
Hmm.
In theaters. So, rated R, which makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a good one. Like I was very proud of myself for seeing that. Don't imagine Adam Fold stealing your car,
Who?
or Dr. Randomacan Cam.
Oh, okay, that would be funny. I don't really I don't really I
I
don't
think
really
he
think
spelled as I think he spelled Asm Gold, or that was an autocorrect. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I don't really think either Asmongold or Dr. Randomacam would be stealing my car. I could see the Zoomers of the Lotus Eaters doing it. Just
to be fair, also a good
because
chance the
they're
car is left
dickheads.
somewhere. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. You know, I've actually logistically, I don't think a car chase really makes much sense. There's way too much danger in it. Sorry, it's just a thing there. Anyway, I guess with that, I want to say goodbye, adios, aloha, avidazai, sayonara, peace, cheers, and
Shalom and fuck off.
bye, guys.